The storm in the fallen land has reached a terrifying crescendo. Against all odds, Wang Lin stood his ground in the 5-breath challenge. Confronting the avatar of the third-step cultivator Master Simo, Wang Lin unleashed a devastating sequence of divine spells, re-refining 10,000 dragon collapse pills and utilizing his dual fire and thunder essences. Just as the final breath echoed, the mysterious great emperor of the fallen land intervened, crushing Simo's avatar with a single heaven-piercing finger. In a shocking turn of events, Wang Lin was not only granted protection but was officially crowned the And Apos, young emperor and Apos, of the fallen land. With this newfound authority, he ruthlessly tested his limits, stripping corrupt elders of their titles and reshaping the power hierarchy to his will. But the hand of fate had one more surprise in store: the return of Wang Lin and Apos, and Apos, Lucky Star and Apos, Greed. Having escaped the Moongazer serpent years ago, Greed arrived in the fallen land laden with world-shaking treasures, only to find his worst nightmare waiting for him. In a panic-stricken flight, Greed unwittingly became Wang Lin's and Apos, treasure delivery man and Apos, once again surrendering legendary artifacts like the Emperor Furnace and the Ancient Wood Spirit. From Greed, Wang Lin unearthed a chilling secret: the existence of an ancient order tomb that bridges the inner and outer realms. Now, as the Fallen Elder selection begins on the bizarre, needle-shaped Great Emperor planet, Wang Lin has set his most ambitious trap yet. He has transformed the con artist Lu Jinbiao into a fake and Apos. Wang Lin picked up the wine jug. Without looking, he took a big gulp. When he swallowed the wine, it turned into a spicy feeling that burned from his abdomen to his throat. It was as if he had swallowed a dragon. Drops of sweat appeared on his forehead and immediately turned into white gas. The feeling of burning didn't disappear but became even stronger and filled his body. Wang Lin felt like his body was burning and the power of fire was going to erupt from his body. The heat cycled through his entire body. It was as if life had been injected into his origin energy. His origin energy seemed to come alive, and a moment later, Wang Lin noticed that his origin energy had increased a bit. Just as his origin energy increased a bit, the fire inside his body increased and surged through him. Even his body began to burn. Heat began to come out of his pores. It was an extremely shocking scene. This fire grew stronger and stronger, causing the vermilion bird mark to appear in his left eye. Blue fire erupted from his left eye and fused with the heat inside his body. The cry of a vermilion bird echoed as a blue vermilion bird flew out from his left eye. It coiled around Wang Lin, revealing a comfortable expression. It wasn't until 15 minutes later that the vermilion bird returned to Wang Lin's left eye and the heat in his body gradually disappeared. Wang Lin took a deep breath and said, "Good wine." The old man looked at Wang Lin with a kind smile before turning back to face the surface of the lake. Not just anyone would dare to drink this wine. Even third-step cultivators would hesitate. Yet you went and downed a big gulp. What kind of wine is this? Wang Lin licked his lips. Just that mouthful had made the fire essence in his body stronger. What made him even more excited was that the wine had allowed his vermilion bird move closer to the next awakening. This isn't wine but blood. The old man's expression was extremely kind and he smiled. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and at this moment, a violent ripple echoed from the lake. There was also muffled roar coming from the bottom of the lake. The clear lake water became cloudy at this moment. Not even divine sense could extend more than half an inch inside. The old man laughed as his right hand held the fishing rod and jerked it backward. The fishing line shined silver under the moonlight and was immediately pulled straight. The roar from the bottom of the lake became even more intense and got closer and closer. Soon, as the fishing rod was being pulled, a head 1,000 feet large was pulled out from the lake. The head looked like a dragon. There was a bump on the head of the dragon. Its color was very dark, a brownish red. This old man wasn't fishing for fishes at all. He was fishing for a dragon. The dragon's head was extremely large, and it opened its mouth with the fishing line in its lip. The body that had extended out from the lake was more than 10,000 feet long. This sudden scene caused Wang Lin's expression to change and shock to appear in his eyes. Before the dragon, Wang Lin was like an ant. The red dragon let out a roar and moved its body as if it were trying to break free from the fishing line. However, the fishing line was made of some unknown material and was extremely tough. No matter how much the dragon struggled, it couldn't break free. The old man smiled as he pulled the fishing rod once more, pulling the dragon out and causing it to roar even more intensely. All of this happened in a flash. It was fast beyond imagination. Just at this moment, the red dragon seemed to notice that it was hopeless to struggle to escape. It suddenly let out a roar and charged at the old man. Before it even got close, a fishy wind blew over. As the dragon closed in, an indescribable aura suddenly erupted from the dragon. It was extremely powerful. Wang Lin's expression turned pale when the pressure hit him, and terror appeared in his eyes. The dragon was like a grinder that could crush all living things. Wang Lin subconsciously retreated a few steps. Third step. He clearly felt that this pressure was no weaker than the feeling Taoist water had brought him back then. A powerful beast comparable to third-step cultivators. Wang Lin sucked in a breath of cold air. He couldn't comprehend what was happening. If the old man was just fishing for a dragon, it would have been fine. But he was fishing for a dragon that had the power of a third-step cultivator. The old man smiled as he flew into the air with the fishing rod in his right hand, and his left hand waved toward the dragon. Wang Lin immediately saw fire appear in the old man's left hand. This fire seemed illusory and was more like a fire mist. Then the old man waved his hand. It didn't look like he was using a spell, but there was a thunderous rumble. The dragon let out a miserable cry and its head jerked back as if it had been hit by a powerful force. As it was pushed back, the fire mist spread across the dragon's body. The sound of flesh burning echoed across the world. The screams from the dragon became even more miserable, and it was about to go back into the lake. The old man waved the fishing rod in his hand and held the dragon in place. The dragon that was going to withdraw back into the lake let out another miserable scream and was pulled out a few hundred feet more out of the lake. "Damn it, you little fire dragon, how you dare to run from this old man!" The old man roared as he jumped into the air. He landed on the roaring dragon's head and his hand mercilessly slammed down. The moment the old man raised his left hand, Wang Lin's mind rumbled and his pupils shrank from shock. He clearly saw something appear behind the old man at that moment. It was a giant vermilion bird. Its size was far larger than Wang Lin's vermilion bird, and it covered the sky. An ancient aura spread out from the giant vermilion bird, and an ethereal flame covered the entire vermilion bird. Ethereal fire. The moment the vermilion bird appeared, it let out a heaven-shaking cry. This scene shocked Wang Lin. The size of the vermilion bird, the amount of fire, and its power were far stronger than that of the old vermilion bird Divine Emperor. There was no comparison. It was like the difference between a young vermilion bird and its ancestor. The old man's left hand suddenly fell, and the moment it fell, the giant vermilion bird moved, fusing with his left hand. In an instant, the vermilion bird became one with the old man's left hand. From afar, one could no longer see the old man's left hand. They could only see the sharp beak of the vermilion bird. In the blink of an eye, the sharp break pierced through a bump on the dragon's head and a jet of blood shot out. "What are you startled for? Quickly, pick up the jug. Do you think this old body can withstand all this for long?" The old man looked up, and his roar echoed like thunder in Wang Lin's ears. Wang Lin grabbed the wine jug without hesitation and immediately collected the blood inside. However, the jug had a limit and was soon full. Seeing how there was still some dragon blood left, Wang Lin immediately took out a bottle to hold it. However, the moment the bottle touched the blood, it melted. It wasn't able to hold the blood at all. All of this happened in an instant. Seeing how the blood couldn't be collected and was going to fall into the lake, Wang Lin charged forward. He knew it was precious, so he rushed toward the falling blood and inhaled. With this, he inhaled all the dragon blood that was going to fall into the lake into his mouth. This mouthful contained about as much blood as 3 big gulps from before. When the old man saw what Wang Lin had done, he smiled. He jumped off the dragon's head and took back the fishing rod. His right foot stomped down when he jumped off the dragon. The dragon was extremely angry, but it didn't dare to roar. Borrowing the force of the old man's stomp, it quickly drilled into the lake and disappeared without a trace. "Good, you're indeed someone from my Vermilion Bird clan, and you know that wasting is shameful." The old man smiled and landed beside Wang Lin. After Wang Lin devoured the dragon blood, the fire in his body became monstrous and his face turned red. He had no time to pay attention to the old man. He sat down and cycled his origin energy, The old man stood beside Wang Lin and scanned him. He revealed a satisfactory smile. I thought I'd never be able to see another junior again. This child's vermilion bird awakening is only one step away from the ethereal fire. This child is not simple. He should be my clan's 6th generation vermilion bird divine emperor. Not bad, not bad. The more the old man looked, the happier he became. He even crouched down and pinched Wang Lin's cheeks. Then he carefully patted Wang Lin's body. Yes, definitely a member of my vermilion bird clan, and not made by our enemy. However, this little fellow's body is actually an ancient god. Haha, not bad, not bad. There was excitement in the old man's eyes. The 4th generation vermilion bird was too frivolous and couldn't cultivate my spell. The 6th generation seems pretty cold and should be able to. As the old man patted Wang Lin's body, he was startled. His origin soul's yang has been broken. The old man revealed hatred in his eyes. He stopped patting Wang Lin and sat down. Juniors nowadays, all of them, alas, it's still this old man who has the willpower, and my origin soul's yang is still intact to this day. The old man muttered for a while and looked hatefully at Wang Lin while shaking his head. Since his origin soul's yang is broken, not only can't he cultivate this old man's spell, but it would be much more difficult for him to enter the realm of ethereal fire than those that have their yang intact. Unfortunate, unfortunate. The old man sighed as he looked at Wang Lin, who was cultivating. However, as he looked, his eyes suddenly widened and he exclaimed, "Something is wrong. This little fellow's body. This is..." The old man's eyes widened and he walked next to Wang Lin. There was a hint of excitement and disbelief in his eyes. He decided to simply press his finger down on Wang Lin's forehead. He didn't hurt Wang Lin at all, but a mysterious force entered Wang Lin's body. When the old man withdrew his right hand, his eyes widened and he stared at Wang Lin's forehead. Just at this moment, an invisible fire flew out from Wang Lin's forehead. The moment the fire appeared, it filled the world, giving off unimaginable heat. At this moment, the invisible fire suddenly shrank until it turned into a weak flame. Although this flame was weak, there was a suffocating aura inside it. This was Wang Lin's fire essence. When the old man saw the fire essence, there was no change in his expression. It was as if he already knew about it. After the fire essence, another light came from Wang Lin's forehead. This light was heaven-shaking and extremely bright. Thunder rumbled as bolts of thunder shot out from Wang Lin's forehead. The moment this thunder appeared, it formed a tattoo, and 9 accompanying thunders rotated around it, giving off a shocking force. The sky changed colors and the clouds scattered. The thunder essence was extremely strong. This was Wang Lin's 2nd essence. What a great guy. Not only does he have the fire essence from his vermilion bird awakening a few times, he also has this thunder essence. I had noticed it before, but seeing it now, I can't help but be surprised. This thunder essence is complete too. It is at the point where it can challenge the void gate. How did he cultivate it? Could he really have devoured an ancient thunder dragon? The old man sucked in a breath of cold air. However, just at this moment, there was another flash of light from Wang Lin's forehead. The old man's eyes widened and he revealed a hint of excitement. This is it, this is what I saw before. This little fellow's body. There was another flash and black and white light shine from Wang Lin's forehead. The world rumbled and a long illusory river appeared in the sky. This river was the underworld river formed by Wang Lin's life and death essence. The river swept across the sky and the head and tail connected. It was cloudy inside, and an aura of life and death erupted from it. This was Wang Lin's 3rd essence formed by his life and death domain. The old man revealed an unimaginable excitement, and joy that he hadn't felt for tens of thousands of years appeared on his face. His eyes widened and he smiled. Good, there really is a 3rd essence. This old man didn't look closely before, so it was unexpected. Before he finished speaking, he was startled for a moment. Another light flashed from Wang Lin's forehead and an illusory yin and yang symbol flew out. This yin and yang symbol contained karma. When it appeared, it seemed to tear the world apart. The sky and earth seemed to mix and a karma cycle formed. Fortunately, there were no other cultivators nearby. Otherwise, they would have been entangled inside and their inner demons would erupt, making it difficult for them to escape. All the karmic cause they had planted would become karmic effect that would destroy themselves. There are more. The old man was completely stunned and his expression was filled with shock. 4 essences. How did this child cultivate to have 4 essences? This is too poor. The old man's pupils shrank again and he stopped mid-sentence because there was another flash of light from Wang Lin's forehead. The light this time was extremely bizarre. It looked like it was there, but it wasn't there. It constantly alternated between true and false. Real and fake images began to appear, making it impossible for people to distinguish them at a glance. The old man stared at the 5 different essences floating above Wang Lin. He swallowed hard and didn't know what to say. It wasn't until all 5 essences had disappeared back into Wang Lin's body that he let out a long sigh. No more? That's good, that's good. The old man looked at Wang Lin as if he was looking at a monster. 5 essences. 5 essence. Damn it, this little fellow is more of a monster than the 4th generation vermilion bird. How can such a monster appear in this world? Although the old man was saying this, the excitement in his eyes was indescribable. The moonlight was strong and the gentle wind continued blowing, causing the vegetation to rustle. The night gradually passed and the run slowly rose, dispelling the darkness and coldness of the night. After a night of cultivation, the fire essence in Wang Lin's body had become a lot stronger. However, there was still a barrier to the 4th vermilion bird awakening that Wang Lin couldn't break through. The fallen elder selection had already begun at dawn. It wasn't until the sun was high above the sky, almost at noon, that the dragon blood Wang Lin had devoured slowly dissipated. Wang Lin's face returned to normal and he opened his eyes. Wang Lin let out a mouthful of foul air. This air was black, and when it fell on the ground, it created a cracking sound. It was like the ground was being baked. The moment Wang Lin opened his eyes, he saw Old Man. He pondered for a bit before getting up. He bowed and respectfully said, "Junior Wang Lin greets, 4th generation ancestor." The old man looked at Wang Lin with a strange light in his eyes. He let out a dry cough, hid that strange light in his eyes and smiled. This old man is not the 4th generation vermilion bird. Wang Lin was startled for a moment as he looked at the old man. Then a thought appeared in his mind. Are you? The 1st generation vermilion bird. The old man laughed and shook his head. This old man is not the 1st generation vermilion bird, but the 2nd. It has been a long time and things are complicated. The 4th generation vermilion bird is also here. You're the 2nd clan member I've seen after him. Wang Lin silently pondered for a bit and then asked with some hesitation, "Are you the great emperor?" "I'm the same as you, a young emperor." The old man smiled. When he saw Wang Lin pondering, he explained, "This old man and the little 4th generation fellow are both young emperors. As for the great emperor, it is a name only outsiders use. To the vermilion bird clan he only has one name. The 1st generation vermilion bird ancestor. He's also one of the 4 strongest generals under the ancient celestial emperor." Wang Lin's mind trembled and he suddenly looked up. The old man smiled. "As for the details, once you have been through the vermilion bird divine trial, you will know. This trial is something you must do, and for you it might be a great fortune for you to break through to the ethereal fire realm. However, it is extremely hard, so you don't have to feel too much pressure." The old man looked to the northwest. After pondering for a bit, he said with a hint of dissatisfaction, "Why didn't you agree to Master Simo's challenge? The people of my vermilion bird clan aren't afraid of battles. After you attempt the trial, let loose and fight him. People who are invited here won't be able to cause any trouble here. The selection of the fallen elders is mere child's play. The main reason to invite so many 3rd step cultivators is to let them know that a new young emperor has appeared in the fallen land. You're a member of my vermilion bird clan. It doesn't matter if you come from the inner realm or not. If you leave here, I can't protect you, but if you are here, I want to see who would dare to hurt you. Remember, my vermilion bird clan must be tyrannical and biased. We must be tyrannical so that we can have a foothold in this chaotic old. Only by doing this can you make people dread the thought of moving against you. This is why instead of hiding, show off your might. That Master Simo is your target to show off your might. So what if he is a 3rd step cultivator? Use him to show your might." The old man's words were extremely tyrannical. Wang Lin pondered for a bit before nodding, and there was a flash of coldness in his eyes. Seeing Wang Lin's expression, the old man was extremely satisfied. He looked at the lake and pondered for a bit. Drink this dragon blood for the trial. You can't cultivate my cultivation method, but since we've met, I should give you something. Let's do this. This old man will pass you a secret spell of the clan. When the old man said the words secret spell, his expression was very strange. Since you're a member of my clan, there is no problem in telling you. My Vermilion Bird clan never had any so-called secret spells. This secret spells was, in fact, stolen from the Azure Dragon, White Tiger, and Black Tortoise clans when the old ancestor could still move. After he brought it back, he called it the clan's secret spell. Among the 3 clans, the Black Tortoise has the greatest strength. I checked your body before and found that you somehow became an ancient god. The power of the ancient gods should make this spell even stronger. This spell isn't a spell, but a method for using force. Observe carefully. After the old man finished speaking, he walked up to the lake. He raised his hand and waved at the lake. His palm caused the water to depress, but just as the depression appeared, the old man's palm smashed down at the surface of the water. There was a thunderous bang and the lake became violent. A layer of water suddenly collapsed and countless drops of water appeared. Then another layer of water suddenly collapsed, and this cycle continued. In an instant, layers of water from the lake dissipated into water vapor and rose into the air. The water level of the lake immediately dropped by 10 feet. This scene was very ordinary and didn't seem special at all. If it was a spell, even turning the entire lake to gas would be very simple. Forget this old man, even Wang Lin had dozens of methods to deliver a blow that looked much stronger than this. Very ordinary, isn't it? The old man looked at Wang Lin with a profound smile. Wang Lin's eyes lit up as he stared at the surface of the lake and recalled what he had just seen. He began to ponder as he stared at the lake. Seeing Wang Lin like this, the old man became even more happy and didn't disturb Wang Lin. He wanted to see how good Wang Lin's comprehension was, and whether Wang Lin could understand the meaning behind this technique. Back when I learned this from the ancestor, I couldn't learn the meaning behind it by myself. Not even the amazing 4th generation Vermilion Bird Jr. was able to understand the core. He could only grasp the edge. It wasn't until the ancestor explained it that we suddenly realized the true meaning. Let's see how the 6th generation does. However, this child's talent can't compare to that of the 4th generation. His current cultivation level should be all from lucky encounters, or perhaps it was due to that disciple the 4th generation Vermilion Bird once talked about. Otherwise, there would be no way for him to reach the terrifying cultivation level of reaching the edge of ethereal fire in just over 2,000 years of cultivation. Even the ancestor couldn't have done this at this age. Just then, the old man suddenly thought about Wang Lin's 5 essences and paused for a moment. Maybe this guy will see through it. The old man was a bit gloomy as he looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin frowned, and the scene from before kept replaying in his mind. The old man's palm looked very normal and had only shook the lake. The water droplets had flown up and collided with each other countless times before turning into water vapor. However, going by the old man's words, this spell contained a profound truth. While pondering, Wang Lin walked next to the lake and crouched down. He gently pressed his hand against the surface of the lake. He didn't use a spell. He simply touched the water like a mortal. The moment his hand descended toward the surface of the lake, Wang Lin felt a rebound force. This rebound force was extremely weak and almost imperceptible, like this was how it should be. Although the surface of the water was very soft, it could still allow leaves to float. When his palm pressed against it, he would naturally feel a rebound force. This matter would not have caught Wang Lin's attention in the past, and he previously wouldn't have considered why it was like this. However, right now, when this rebound force appeared, Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. Ripples echoed across the lake and more ripples spread out from his palm. The lake was like his heart, and a ripple had been set off in his heart. He was different from other people. Wang Lin was an ancient god. They didn't have many spells, but their bodies were extremely powerful. One punch was enough to annihilate a cultivation planet. This was the core of the ancient god's strength. It was because of this that Wang Lin's grasp of force greatly differed from that of cultivators that relied on spells or treasures. When I was reading books as a child, I heard of dripping water drilling into rock. Water may seem soft, but in truth, water is extremely tough. When it falls on the rock, it has to withstand the rebound force. The countless droplets create a rebound force that eventually allows the water to penetrate the rocks. Forget rocks, if an ancient god took the place of the rock, even they would be penetrated by water droplets after a long time. Enlightenment appeared in Wang Lin's eyes and he looked at the old man. The old man's expression became serious, also containing a trace of shock. He didn't expect Wang Lin to grasp the edge of this spell by himself. This child's talent can't compare to the 4th-generation vermilion bird. The difference is like heaven and earth. This enlightenment is too frightening, and he was able to use his comprehension to make up for his lack of talent to reach the same degree of understanding of this secret spell as the 4th-generation vermilion bird. No wonder he has 5 essences. It seems like it wasn't an accident. The old man took a deep breath and looked at Wang Lin with admiration. He was about to open his mouth to explain the rest. In his view, this was already Wang Lin's limit, and Wang Lin wouldn't be able to look deeper into this matter. However, before he could speak, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he slowly said, "This is only secondary." The old man was startled. Water contains tenacity and softness, and after forming the lake, it also contains a rebound force. The more power contained in my palm, the more powerful the rebound force. The rebound force that appears the moment I throw the punch is no weaker than the punch itself. As a result, it is as if 2 types of forces suddenly cross and then create a powerful collision. When Senior's palm fell on the water droplets collided countless times, causing part of the lake to disintegrate. That disintegration was a change of state to change the water directly into water vapor. Although it looked simple, it contained a heaven-shaking force. The power to change the state of living things. As Wang Lin spoke, his eyes became brighter and his mind became more clear. Ideas poured into his mind and he replayed what the old man had done tens of thousands of times. This should be it. Senior's palm contained that law. One punch could even cause a cultivation planet to collapse. Although there would still be a rebound force, by the time the rebound force appeared, the cultivation planet would already be destroyed. However, water is different. The toughness of water can't be underestimated. After enough water has gathered, the power it can withstand is shocking. If the same punch landed in the sea, the rebound force would be enough to cause a person to collapse. The old vermilion bird stared at Wang Lin with wide eyes. The fright he had when he saw that Wang Lin had 5 essences reappeared. This comprehension of the heavens is something this old man has never seen before. This comprehension is more powerful than any kind of talent. It wasn't a fluke for this child to obtain essences. The old vermilion bird took a deep breath, and his gaze toward Wang Lin became even stranger. At this moment, he didn't know that once Wang Lin learned the ancient soul restriction, he would have a chance to reach the peak of restrictions and achieve the void realm and obtain the void essence. Of course, this chance was low, but it existed. What Senior is trying to teach Junior is how to use this rebound force. Thus, when I throw a punch, I can borrow the rebound force to kill my enemy, as my power would increase greatly, can even change the state of objects. Although it's not a spell, this method can be considered a spell. Senior wants Junior to learn this. Wang Lin's eyes were bright and there was a flash of joy in his eyes. A normal battle between cultivators wouldn't involve punches and kicks. However, Wang Lin was an ancient god, so this was similar to a spell to him. In Wang Lin's ancient god memories, there was no such method of using force. This lesson from the 2nd-generation vermilion bird meant a lot to Wang Lin. When he thought of his battle with Tuasen, it was clear that Tuasen was much stronger. In their battle back then, it was like a child fighting an adult. It wasn't too much to say that he only knew how to use the raw strength of the ancient gods. The old vermilion bird swallowed and sighed in his heart. He had lived for a long time and was an old monster, so it wasn't hard for him to put up an act. He slowly said, "Good, everything you said were simple truths, exactly what I wanted to tell you." Although the old vermilion bird had said this, he thought in his heart, "Damn it, I can't let this kid see through me. If he finds out that this old man couldn't even comprehend this back then, all my face as an elder will be lost. If I had known this, I would have passed him the white tiger or azure dragon secret spells. Those things are not meant to be cultivated by humans. With this little monster's comprehension, he should go study those things." The old vermilion bird quickly let out a dry cough to avoid the topic. His eyes widened and he said, "Good. Now that you've learned the secret spell, follow me to the trial. Once you complete the trial, go use Master Simo to show off your might." After he spoke, he waved his sleeve and they both turned into ethereal fire before flying to the northwest. Wang Lin carefully looked at the ethereal fire and was secretly shocked. Is this ethereal fire? There is no heat at all, but it gives the illusion that my soul is burning. With the old vermilion bird's cultivation level, he immediately brought Wang Lin above the arena in the northwest region. Right now there were 2 cultivators fighting for the position of elder. There were 10,000 cultivators around the arena observing them, and there were several spots where no cultivators dared to approach. One of those locations was where Master Simo and Grandmaster Yun Luo were located. Another location, a father and daughter pair covered in blue light. In another place there was only one person. He wore green and looked like a young man. He laid lazily on a cloud, looking at the 2 people fighting below. He yawned as he took out a peach and took a bite. There was a giant lizard coiled up in the last location. The beast was black and looked ferocious as it floated in the air. On its back sat an old man wearing animal skins. This old man's face was filled with holes and bumps, and there were fist-sized earrings on each of his ears. His lips had 4 red needles pierced through them, as if sealing his mouth. Just at this moment the expressions of these people changed and they all looked up. A few old fellows came. Just as everyone looked up, the old vermilion bird's voice echoed across the sky in a taunting manner. As he descended, the ethereal fire around him scattered and dissipated without a trace. This revealed Wang Lin's figure behind the old vermilion bird. Just as Wang Lin appeared, a few gazes fell on him. The first gaze was from Master Simo. His gaze was cold and filled with killing intent. The second gaze was gentle. It contained a hint of confusion and reminiscence. It came from the daughter covered in blue light. The third gaze came from the handsome young man eating the peach. His eyes shined and he revealed a smile that wasn't a smile. Wang Lin's expression remained calm as his gaze swept past the father and daughter covered in blue light. There was a hint of complication in his eyes, but that soon dissipated. Wang Lin clasped his hands and respectfully said, "Junior greets Senior Dao Master Blue Dream." Dao Master Blue Dream smiled as he nodded and said, "I really did underestimate you before." The old vermilion bird was shocked by the fact that Wang Lin knew Dao Master Blue Dream. Then his gaze swept by Li Qianmei, and he smiled mischievously before ignoring this matter. Then his gaze locked onto Master Simo. "Little kid, what are you looking at? Are you dissatisfied with this old man? Do you want to challenge this old man? Come and fight, this old man will play with you." The old vermilion bird didn't have the grace of a senior as he stared at Master Simo and made a taunting gesture with his index finger. Master Simo's expression changed. He knew that the old man was the first young emperor of the fallen land. This was someone just below the great emperor and he was very famous. The Sovereign Council was still doing research on this person, and this old fellow was not easy to deal with. The killing intent in Master Simo's eyes had disappeared. He clasped his hands and softly said, "Senior's cultivation is heaven-piercing. Junior is no match. Humph, you won't dare to fight this old man, but you want to provoke my junior. You deserve a beating." No matter how the old vermilion bird looked at Master Simo, he found him to be an eyesore. He let out a cold snort and waved his right hand. No spell seemed to appear with that wave, but Grandmaster Yun Luo's expression changed greatly and she retreated without hesitation. Master Simo's pupils also shrank and he let out a roar as he began to form hand seal. However, before he could complete it, a thunderous rumble echoed. Master Simo quickly retreated from this rumble. His hand was trembling and his face was pale. An ethereal fire was burning inside him, and it flashed 3 times. Every time it flashed, the burning power inside his body increased. After 3 flashes, Master Simo's body trembled violently and he coughed out blood. His eyes were filled with terror. Senior is bullying a junior before everyone here. What is the meaning of this? Anger appeared on Master Simo's face, but the anger seemed to feed the ethereal fire around him, causing it to become even more powerful. Master Simo coughed out blood once more. At this moment, Grandmaster Yun Luo stepped up and pressed her hand against his back. She used some secret spell to make Master Simo's face look slightly better, but he was still deathly pale. The strong bullying the weak? Damn, you actually know what that means? After using your third step cultivation to force a fight with my junior, you dare to say I'm bullying the weak? So what if I'm bullying the weak? The old vermilion bird had cultivated for many years, and although he looked kind to Wang Lin in truth when he became famous, he had an explosive temper. After hearing Master Simo's words, his eyes widened and he took a step forward. He was too fast. It was impossible for the eye or divine sense to keep up. He arrived before Master Simo and directly sent out a slap. With one slap, Master Simo let out a muffled groan and was pushed back several dozen feet. His face swelled up and became purplish-black. Grandmaster Yun Luo's face turned pale as she retreated and said, "Senior, stop the Sovereign Council." Before Grandmaster Yun Luo could finish speaking, the old vermilion bird looked at her viciously. "Little girl, shut up. If you don't stop, I'll slap you too. This old man is going to bully the weak today." This made Grandmaster Yun Luo bite her lower lip and stop talking. Master Simo had just stopped his body and his vision had become blurry. "Who are you to dare to call my junior a little bastard? You're a bastard. Your entire family are bastards." As the old vermilion bird spoke, he closed in once more and sent out a slap with his left hand. Master Simo let out a muffled groan and coughed out blood. He was pushed back and anger filled his body. However, this anger increased the strength of the fire in his body. He let out a miserable scream and suppressed his anger. "If my junior is a bastard, doesn't that make me a bastard as well? Damn it, you dare to scold this old man." The old man stared at Master Simo and gave chase. "Junior didn't." Master Simo's mind trembled and he was about to explain himself, but his words were obviously not as fast as the old vermilion bird. The old vermilion bird suddenly got close and sent out a slap with his right hand. Master Simo's already purplish-black face swelled even more, and he coughed out blood along with a few teeth. His body was thrown far away. "Humph, you dare to scold this old man?" There was a hint of killing intent in the old vermilion bird's eyes. If it wasn't for the fact that he wanted Wang Lin to use Master Simo to show off, he wouldn't have just used 3 slaps. He would have instantly taken his life. The old vermilion bird dared to fish for a dragon, and had a terrifying cultivation level. Although Master Simo was a third-step cultivator, he had just entered the 3rd step. If it was someone other than the old vermilion bird, they would have showed some hesitation. After all, the Sovereign Council stood behind Master Simo. However, the old vermilion bird didn't consider any of this at all. He only had one thought. No one could provoke the vermilion bird clan. Even if they had a higher cultivation level than him, he wouldn't care. The first-generation ancestor would deal with it. The vermilion bird clan's bias was passed down from generation to generation. Wang Lin revealed a smile as he watched this. He found the shadow of Qing Shui and the 5th-generation vermilion bird divine emperor on the old vermilion bird. Wang Lin's personality was sometimes very simple. Those who were good to him would be paid back several-fold. Like Situna Qing Shui, the old vermilion bird divine emperor, Dunnan, the cultivators fighting for the fallen elder position all stopped and retreated. The 10,000 fallen land cultivators were all extremely respectful. And the 10 messengers also looked up at the sky respectfully. As for the rest of the people in the sky, they didn't say anything. After slapping Master Simo a few times, the old vermilion bird withdrew his gaze and returned to Wang Lin's side. He completely ignored Master Simo, who was in a sorry state, and the gloomy Grandmaster Yun Luo. This old man is very happy that everyone could come here. Although there are still a few old fellows who are not here, it is fine. Since everyone is present, I want you all to witness the trial of my fallen land's 3rd young emperor. If he succeeds in the trial, he will become a true young emperor. Making him your enemy is the same as making this old man your enemy. Making the fallen land your enemy. The old vermilion bird clasped his hands at everyone. He pulled Wang Lin and pointed at the handsome young man. "Little fellow, you know Tao Master Blue Dream, so I won't introduce you. You see that young man eating the peach? Don't think he is young, he is actually an old monster. You might have heard of him before. He is one of the 5 masters, Tao Master Miao Yin. Wang Lin's expression remained calm, but his mind raced. He had heard of Dao Master Miao Yin before. He looked at the young man but found no trace of cultivation, and Wang Lin clasped his hands as a greeting. The handsome young man laughed and nodded at Wang Lin. There is also this old fellow with the needle in his mouth. He is also someone you should know. Although he is not one of the 5 masters, his cultivation is not a bit weak. He is the self-proclaimed esteemed Tai Huang. His poison cultivation made him famous. The old vermilion bird pointed at the skinny elder sitting on the lizard. The old man's eyes lit up and he let out a cold snort. His lips didn't move, but a voice came from his body. Old bird, this old man didn't come to witness anything. I'm here to fight you. However, this junior of yours is not bad, so I'll gift you this for protection. The old man raised his right hand and flicked. A piece of his fingernail from his index finger broke off and flew toward Wang Lin. There was a flash of light and the piece of fingernail floated before Wang Lin. The old vermilion bird's eyes widened after hearing the words old bird. But when he saw the nail, he laughed. You little poison bug, you're pretty generous. Take it. That thing contains that little poison bug's poison. It is a powerful weapon to use against your enemies. As the old vermilion bird spoke, he raised right hand and waved down at the arena. He shouted, the fallen elder's selection will be pushed back, and the young emperor trial will begin. His voice rumbled like thunder and echoed across the arena. The roar of a dragon tortoise echoed and the giant tortoise shell that surrounded the arena appeared. The giant tortoise was extremely large and extremely ferocious. It was an unforgettable scene. A powerful force spread out, and the surrounding 10,000 cultivators revealed extreme reverence as they avoided this shockwave. The giant tortoise let out a roar. After it appeared, it looked up at the old vermilion bird. Start the blue incense. The old vermilion bird waved his hand. The childishness from before disappeared and he became serious. At this moment, a powerful might came from his body, along with a tyrannical feeling. It was as if whatever he said was law. As the rumble echoed, 3 giant incense sticks thousands of feet thick and tens of thousands of feet tall appeared on the back of the tortoise. These 3 incense sticks were dark blue and pierced into the sky. The giant tortoise seemed to have turned into an altar. The 3 incense sticks on its back were a shocking sight. The trial of my fallen land's young emperor is extremely simple. You must enter the 3 fantasy worlds of human, earth, and heaven and light up all 3 incense sticks. This trial has 2 key points. The first is that lighting the incense sticks is difficult. Second, once an incense stick is lit, although it is tens of thousands of feet tall, it burns very fast. You must use all your effort to slow down the burning, so your soul can leave and return to your body. The old vermilion bird's expression was very serious as he looked at Wang Lin. Every trial has danger. My fallen land's young emperor's trial is also the same. If you can't ignite it, there is no consequence, but if you ignite it and you can't get out, your soul will burn to death with it. With this old man here, you won't really die, but you will disappoint this old man. Since ancient times, only 2 people have succeeded. This old man was the first, and before you there was another. That person is extremely gifted. He took 5 breaths for the first incense, 9 breaths for the second incense, and 14 breaths for the third. Even this old man is inferior to him. Do you dare to try? Answer me. The old man's eyes glowed like a torch as he looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's remained calm and slowly said, Why would I not dare? Good. I expect you to surprise me a 3rd time. The old vermilion bird laughed and waved his right hand. A gust of wind wrapped around Wang Lin and he moved like a bolt of thunder toward the first incense stick. Master Simo's eyes contained a well-hidden vicious gaze. His face was still purple, and it wouldn't heal in a short period of time with a spell. After all, the old vermilion bird had done this on purpose to humiliate him. Right now, Master Simo didn't dare to be as arrogant as before, but his killing intent toward Wang Lin had become even stronger. Master Simo let out a cold snort. The Sovereign Council has studied the Fallen Land's trial deeply. This little bastard can't succeed with his cultivation level. Grandmaster Yun Luo beside him also had a gloomy expression. Her hand in her right sleeve casually formed a few seals as if she was trying to divinate some things, but her gaze swept toward Dao Master Miao Yin. As for Dao Master Miao Yin, He lied down on the cloud with his eyes squinted, revealing a strange light. This little fellow must be the Wang Lin that Taoist water had sent information about. The Lord of the Sealed Realm is not dead. That Taoist water wouldn't dare to lie, but I should be careful about this. I said last time because the sovereign gave me great benefits, but now, if they want me to act, it will depend on whether the Sovereign Council is willing to give the appropriate reward. Tao Master Blue Dream calmly looked at Wang Lin and sighed in his heart. In such short period of time, this child has managed to destroy the Scatter Thunder clan, and also formed a deep relationship with the Fallen Land. I've really underestimated him. As one of the 5 masters, I have a responsibility to guard the ancient star system, but the matter between him and you heir. Tao Master Blue Dream looked at his daughter with a complicated gaze. I can ignore the Sovereign Council, and even if the Sovereign comes out of closed-door cultivation, I can refuse, but what if Ming Heir comes? What should I do? Thinking about his wife, Tao Master Blue Dream felt a sting in his heart. He could never forget that year when his wife seemed to have died and became a stranger. The old man wearing the beast's skin closed his eyes and simply ignored it all. It was as if nothing in the world mattered aside from battling the old vermilion bird. The giant lizard below him snorted 2 streams of hot air and closed its cold eyes. As the 10,000 cultivators around the giant tortoise all watched Wang Lin close in on the first incense stick, various thoughts appeared in their minds. This person is really lucky to have caught the eye of the first young emperor. However, this trial is extremely difficult. I'm certain he won't succeed. The Fallen Land's first elder didn't even dare to try to obtain the title of young emperor even though he's at the 5th heaven's blight. Although this person has obtained the favor of the great emperor and the first young emperor, there is no way he can succeed. Wang Lin arrived next to the first incense stick under the gazes of the 10,000 cultivators around the arena and landed on the tortoise shell. Compared to the incense stick, Wang Lin's figure was truly insignificant. This giant incense stick was like a mountain. It released a faint fragrance, and when one smelled it, it would awaken their spirit. Wang Lin took a deep breath and placed his right hand on the giant incense stick. The moment he touched the incense stick, he closed his eyes and his body became motionless. His soul entered the incense stick. The first trial, the human phantom world. The sound of water was rushing across his ears. There were bustling sounds coming from the distance that became more and more clear until they suppressed the sound of water in Wang Lin's ears. The sky was blue, beautiful like a painting with white clouds embellished on it. However, it looked a bit fake. Wang Lin was standing on a bridge with the river flowing below him. There were several boats floating down the river. On both sides of the bridge were noisy streets with many pedestrians, but it was impossible to see their faces. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze from the sky. He felt like he had entered a dream world. Everything was fake without any sense of it being real. Even this bridge was blurry in his eyes, as if it could disappear at any moment. It was as if everything in this world aside from himself was not real. This was a mortal city. This city wasn't big, but there were a lot of people living here. There were many stalls and shops along the street, and the sound of people shouting was constant. However, all of this was a blur and seemed separated from him. Is this the first trial? Wang Lin pondered and then turned around to walk off the bridge when he suddenly looked at the river. There was a big boat slowly floating down the river, and there was a young man holding a cup of wine on it. There were a few female singers dancing on the deck and a few servants standing behind him. Among the laughter came these soft yet arrogant words. The world is an inn for all living things. Time is a guest of the ages. The difference between life and death is like being awakened from a dream. The young man held up the wine cup and took a gulp. After Wang Lin arrived here, everything beside himself has been blurry. However, at this moment, the young man's appearance became clear, and this created a clear contrast with the surroundings. This caused Wang Lin to be startled on the spot, and his mind rumbled as if the world was splitting apart. The appearance of the young man was very familiar. It was basically himself. The youth that had recited that arrogant poem and was holding the cup of wine looked almost exactly the same as Wang Lin. The only difference was the trace of time. Although Wang Lin looked young, he had lived for over 2,000 years, so there were traces of time on his body. However, the youth drinking wine was filled with vitality and life. No matter how you looked at it, He was a mortal no more than 30 years old. Wang Lin was frozen at the spot as he looked at the boat approaching. He watched the youth put down the cup and wipe away the wine from the corner of his mouth. The servant behind the young man was in his 40s, and his head swayed as he said, "Good, the young master's poem is really extraordinary. To this little one's understanding, this poem means that what the heavens have is difficult for people to obtain." "Good." The youth smiled as he picked up a fan and pointed at the servant. "Fart, this is clearly a poem left behind by ancient people. From what you say, it's as if I made it myself." The servant smiled. He didn't seem to mind. He looked around and sighed. "Young master, we don't have a lot of silver left. Renting a boat in the river in the city of Su is not cheap. It has been 4 days, we should rush to the capital." The young man shook his head and someone poured him another cup. He took a sip and was about to speak when his body trembled. His gaze fell on the bridge ahead of him. Wang Lin was standing on top of the bridge, and for an instant their gazes met. The young man's body trembled and his expression changed. There was a hint of surprise in his eyes and he put down his cup. He clasped his hands at Wang Lin, who was on the bridge, and said, "Brother, do you have the time to spare to come drink with me?" The tremble in Wang Lin's heart gradually calmed down and his eyes revealed a strange light. He took a step forward and floated like a leaf before landing on the boat. The 4 servants next to the young man were all shocked. They stared at Wang Lin in disbelief. What surprised them was not Wang Lin's action, but the fact that Wang Lin looked exactly the same as their young master. Wang Lin didn't speak after landing on the boat, and he sat down across from the young man. The young man carefully looked at Wang Lin, and the more he looked, the more shocked he became. This person simply looked too much like him. After hesitating for a bit, he ordered his servants to prepare another cup. Shortly after, the servant took out a clean cup and personally filled it. While he was pouring, he observed Wang Lin and was secretly shocked. "Brother looks extremely similar to me. I have seen many people while studying abroad, but I have never encountered anyone who looks so similar to me. May I ask what brother's name is?" the young man asked with curiosity and a smile on his face. Wang Lin didn't speak. He was still pondering. He picked up the wine cup and drank it alone. Seeing that Wang Lin didn't reply, the young man didn't mind. He personally picked up the wine jug and poured another cup for Wang Lin. The soft sound of water rushing by the boat echoed as the boat gradually passed under the bridge. The dancers and singers were still there, but the people watching were silently pondering. Wang Lin drank one cup after another. The contemplation in his mind made it so the wine he drank had no taste. What the hell is going on? Why would this person appear in the human trial? Not only does he look like me, but even his soul. Wang Lin frowned and drank another cup. The young man was still smiling and no longer spoke. However, the servant beside him was not happy and complained in his heart. "This is the city of Su's ancient flower wine. It is very expensive." Night gradually arrived and a breeze that contained a chill flew by. The dancers and singers had already left, leaving only Wang Lin, the young man, and his servant. The moonlight gradually covered the earth and was reflected in the river. The breeze caused ripples to appear in the water. It was all very beautiful. The servant, already feeling impatient, looked up at the sky. Shortly after, he couldn't help but pull on the young man's cloth and winked. The young man smiled and shook his head. He ignored his servant. The servant bitterly smiled and whispered, "Young master, if we continue, we have to pay more for the boat. Also, there isn't much wine left. Drink with me." The contemplation in Wang Lin's eyes dissipated and he waved his right hand to take out a wine jug. This wine was not the dragon blood, but it wasn't ordinary wine. If a mortal drank it, their lifespan and intelligence would increase. Seeing Wang Lin pull a wine jug out of nowhere, the servant's eyes widened. There was terror in his eyes and he no longer dared to rush his master. After pouring a cup for himself, Wang Lin placed the jug at the center of the table. He drank the cup and looked up at the sky. He suddenly said, "This is the country of Zhao." The young man was also shocked by Wang Lin taking out the wine jug. After a long time, he took a deep breath and nodded. "Senior is an immortal?" Wang Lin held the cup and muttered to himself, "You grew up in a mountain village. Your father is Wang Tiansui, the second son in the family, and a carpenter. Your mother is Xianxia, a member of the Zhou family who studied for a few years in a private school. When you were young, your mother taught you how to read and write." These words were like thunder to the young man's ears, and he was startled. Wang Lin let out a sigh and put down the cup. He looked at the young man with a complicated gaze and softly said, "Continue walking down the life you chose." After he finished speaking, Wang Lin stood up and looked at the moon in the sky. At this moment, the surroundings were no longer blurry. Everything had become crystal clear. Wang Lin took a step toward the river and flew off into the distance. The servant on the boat trembled and slumped against the boat. There was panic in his eyes as he looked at the direction Wang Lin went and stuttered. "Real. A real immortal. Young master, a real immortal. Young master, your dream was real." The young man stared at the sky, and after a long time, he let out a deep breath. He looked at the wine jug on the table and bewilderment filled his eyes. Wang Lin floated in the air and looked at the earth below him. He was familiar with this place. It was exactly the same as the country of Zhao in planet Suzaku. When I entered this human trial with my soul, I thought I would be seeking Tao like on planet Tianyun. I didn't expect that instead of seeking Tao, it would be my inner demons. Wang Lin let out a sigh and revealed a complicated expression. Am I tired of cultivating? How else could I have created a phantom that walked down a different path? Wang Lin silently pondered. Unlike that time on planet Tianyun, I know who I am, and I know that all of this is an illusion. I know that I entered here with my soul, and I know my purpose here. I need to ignite the human trial. Wang Lin raised his head, and there was a hint of melancholy in his eyes. The moment he was able to see the world clearly, he understood what the human incense was and how to ignite it. If he wanted to, he could ignite the first incense stick right now. However, I want to look at them once more before igniting the incense stick. Them and her. Wang Lin's eyes revealed a hint of loneliness and sorrow. He knew that all of this was fake and was formed by the illusion of the human trial. However, he couldn't help but want to look at the one thing no one could touch, his bottom line. Her. Just one gaze and then I'll ignite the human incense stick. Wang Lin took a step forward and disappeared without a trace. On the great emperor planet, everyone's gazes were locked on to the motionless figure with one hand on the first incense stick on the back of the giant tortoise. The gentle wind blew, causing the figure's long hair and clothes to flutter. The old vermilion bird revealed a hint of anxiety. He looked at the figure and became even more anxious. Why is he so slow? Given his cultivation level, this child should have already ignited the first incense stick. I expected him to take half an hour and light it after one breath. Now it has been nearly 1 hour, which is the majority of a day inside. Could it be that he hasn't spent enough time cultivating to see through it all, and his soul is unwilling to leave? Master Simo revealed a sneer and stared at the figure below the first incense stick. He thought in his heart, it is only the first incense and this little bastard is already showing weakness. There is no way he can pass the trials. Once he fails this, the first young emperor will lose a lot of face before all these cultivators. Grandmaster Yun Luo frowned hard as her right hand hidden in her sleeve moved even faster. It seemed her divination had reached a critical moment. Just at this moment, the old vermilion bird's gaze staring at the figure below suddenly narrowed. Not only him, but a majority of cultivators clearly saw 2 lines of crystal tears fall from the eyes of the figure standing before the first incense. Tao Master Blue Dream looked at the tears and thought to himself, the soul returns to the homeland. If the soul is filled with sadness, it will return to the body and tears of sorrow will flow. What a powerful human trial. Inside the human trial, Wang Lin stood under the Hengyu sect's mountain. He looked at the village before him as he turned away, and a trace of tears fell from his eyes. Country of Ho Fun, the Luohe sect. In the alchemy in the back mountain, a young girl with a flower dress frowned and stared at the smoking pill furnace. She stared at the frowning middle-aged woman beside the pill furnace and whispered, Master Wan Air has failed again. The middle-aged woman glared at the girl. Fine, you always have such a pitiful look. Go to the medicine mountain and pick some watermoon grass. I'll see if I can re-refine these pills. The girl stuck out her adorable tongue and quickly ran out of the alchemy room with a smile. This girl was wearing a yellow dress, and the 2 strands of hair beside her head wobbled with her, making her look very cute. She wasn't extremely beautiful, but she was very delicate. Although she still had a childish gaze in her eyes, one could see her gentle nature underneath. As the girl walked toward the mountain, she pouted and muttered to herself, "Alchemy is too difficult. Even though I am always being very attentive, I can never succeed. I wonder how brother is doing. His talent is better than mine and he is being focused on by the sect. I have to work hard so he doesn't look down upon me." As the girl walked, she stopped and looked at a blade of grass that was giving off a soft moonlight. She quickly walked up and gently picked a few leaves. She didn't realize that a lonely figure had unknowingly appeared behind her. Wang Lin stared at the girl before him. Although she looked different from how he knew her, he still recognized her at a glance. A hint of tenderness gradually appeared in his eyes. As Wang Lin stood there, bitterness filled his heart. After the girl picked up a few leaves of watermoon grass, she carefully put them into her bag of holding. When she was about to leave, she suddenly stopped and walked a few steps forward. She crouched down to push away some grass to find a small beast. The small beast looked like a squirrel, and it seemed like it was dying. There was blood on its right leg. It looked like it had been bitten and it was broken. The girl exhaled and revealed a look of pity. She took out some herbs and crushed them before gently applying them to the little beast's wound. However, these herbs were apparently not enough to allow the small beast to live. Its gaze dimmed as it had lost too much blood and was on the verge of death. The girl became anxious. She gently picked up the small beast and turned around to go back to the alchemy room to find her master. However, just as she turned around, she screamed and quickly retreated, panic appearing in her eyes. When she suddenly turned around, she naturally saw Wang Lin and was startled for a moment. Seeing the girl's frightened expression, Wang Lin's heart trembled and he gently said, "Let me." He waved his hand and a ray of white light shot toward the small beast in the girl's arms. The small beast's wound recovered before her eyes, and even its dimmed eyes regained life. The little beast that had recovered jumped out from the girl's arms. After landing on a branch, it looked back at the two of them and disappeared. The girl took a deep breath and patted her chest. She looked curiously at Wang Lin and softly said, "Junior Li Muan greets Senior. Which peak did Senior come from to find my master?" Wang Lin shook his head. His gaze became even more gentle and he said, "I didn't come here looking for your master. I live here." "Live here?" Li Muan blinked. Wang Lin smiled as he waved his sleeve and a gentle wind wrapped around Li Muan. In an instant, the two of them disappeared. When they reappeared, they were at the peak of a mountain surrounded by clouds. A cave had unknowingly appeared here. Li Muan's eyes widened as she looked at the cave, and she took a long time to recover. She then looked at Wang Lin, her eyes filled with wonder. "Senior must be an old monster of my Luohe sect. Not old monster but hidden expert." Li Muan smiled as she retreated a few steps. There was a hint of caution in her eyes. There was no one here, and she was suddenly brought here by Wang Lin, so she was naturally nervous. Although Wang Lin didn't look evil, Li Muan's heart still pounded. Junior came here under teacher's order to pick some herbs. I have been out for a long time. Teacher might get worried about me and come to find me. Junior should leave now." Li Muan continued to retreat, and her words pointed out the fact that her teacher could come at any time. Wang Lin smiled. He had never seen such an expression from Li Muan before. He nodded. Li Muan quickly retreated and climbed down the mountain. It wasn't until she was off the mountain that she relaxed and looked back at the mountain peak. Senior sister had said that all these old monsters have quirks and some like to cultivate with cultivation furnaces. He scared me to death. That old monster silently appeared and took me to the top of the mountain. If I hadn't reacted quickly and brought up teacher, I might have been in danger. However, that old monster looked very young and didn't seem like a bad person. Maybe I am overthinking it. After muttering to herself for a bit, Li Muan quickly left. As Wang Lin stood on the mountain peak, his gaze could penetrate anything. He saw Li Muan's expression and he could even clearly hear her words. It wasn't until Li Muan had left that Wang Lin withdrew his gaze. There was a hint of joy in his eyes, but this was accompanied by melancholy. Is this place really formed by my soul or real? This place clearly doesn't exist in my memory. Wang Lin let out a sigh and no longer thought about this. He closed his eyes. After a long time, he opened his eyes and whispered to himself, "I'm going to take another look and talk to her once more. Then I'll leave and ignite the first incense stick." Time slowly passed. 1 day, 2 days. In the blink of an eye, 4 days passed. During these 4 days, Li Muwen didn't appear again. Wang Lin stayed on the top of the mountain waiting, just like how Li Muwen waited for his return, accompanied only by the zither music. Wang Lin didn't cultivate during these 4 days but stared at the sky as he waited. It wasn't until the afternoon of the 5th day that he heard a sound coming from the base of the mountain. Li Muwen quickly ascended up the mountain. She wiped the sweat off her forehead, and there was still fear and caution in her eyes. However, she clenched her teeth and walked toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin calmly looked at Li Muwen and revealed a gentle expression. However, in Li Muwen's eyes, this gentleness made her subconsciously retreated a few steps and she became even more cautious. "Xian, Senior, can you save it?" Li Muwen bit her lower lip and carefully took out a small beast the size of her palm. This small beast was like a cat, and it was still a child. It was trembling in Li Muwen's hands and his eyes were only opened a sliver. It seemed to want to open its eyes, but it had no strength. Wang Lin laughed and nodded. He raised his right hand and touched the small beast. A white light flashed and vitality entered the small beast. Its eyes slowly opened and were filled with energy. Li Muwen was surprised and gently stroked the small beast's fur. She looked at Wang Lin, and her caution gradually dissipated, but some still remained. "Many thanks, Senior." Li Muwen's face was filled with joy and she bowed at Wang Lin. She quickly retreated down the mountain. It was obvious she was still on guard toward an old monster. If not for it being a last resort, she would not have come here. After Li Muwen descended from the mountain, she looked back and muttered to herself, "That old monster probably isn't a bad person." This was the second time Wang Lin had sent Li Muwen off, but the reluctance in his eyes became even stronger. Just at this moment, the entire sky began to rumble and changed colors. The clouds rumbled and a giant vortex appeared. This vortex rotated rapidly, stirring up the world and giving off an unimaginable sense of majesty. This pressure was extremely shocking, and when it spread out, it covered the entire human trial. Strangely, nothing else in the world was aware of it at all. It was as if the world had changed just for Wang Lin, as if the vortex had appeared just for Wang Lin. "Wang Lin, why don't you quickly ignite the human incense stick? What are you waiting for?" These words formed a storm and echoed across the world. On the Great Emperor planet, the old vermilion bird was worried that Wang Lin's soul was trapped inside and he couldn't pull himself out. He disregarded the rule of the trial and pressed his hand against the first incense stick. His soul rushed into Wang Lin's soul and let out a roar. "It isn't difficult to ignite the human incense stick. As long as I ignite the fire in my soul and burn this illusory world until nothing remains, the human incense stick will be ignited. However, I'm unwilling." Wang Lin raised his head. There was fire burning in his eyes as he looked at the vortex in the sky. To enter this place as a soul, to hone the soul, to erase the last hint of returning back to a mortal. Turn it into a burning force and cause the soul to born. This will be integrated into the soul to become a seed that will allow the vermilion bird to awaken a 4th time. However, burning my feelings as a mortal as the price is something I can't do. Wang Lin looked up at the sky. This was the land of his soul. Although the old vermilion bird was powerful, this trial ground created by a mysterious treasure was filled with a mysterious power that made it so he couldn't be here for long. This is only an illusion, it's not real. This old man has also come here before. You just need to destroy it and ignite the incense stick to leave. Why must you be so obsessive?" The old vermilion bird's voice was anxious and the vortex in the sky collapsed as his voice gradually dissipated. The moment his voice dissipated, Wang Lin's voice entered the vortex. "In my whole life, I never gave up the lingering feelings in my heart. At the ascendant stage, I chose to trigger divine retribution over giving it up. Burning this world isn't the only way to create the immortal fire seed in my soul. If the heavens will this and I must burn this world, then I'll defy the heavens. I'll take my own path, and instead of burning this world, I'll use my soul to create the fire of karma." On the Great Emperor planet, the old vermilion bird withdrew his hand. He looked at Wang Lin and let out a sigh. Although Master Simo didn't know what was going on inside the human trial, he seemed to have noticed a few things. He couldn't help but sneer. "Senior, it has been a long time." It seems the third young emperor had encountered an accident in the trial. Before he finished speaking, the old vermilion bird suddenly turned around and waved his hand. He slapped Master Simo once more. Master Simo coughed out blood and his body was knocked back 100,000 feet. What accident? This old man's junior is going to use his karma to burn this incense stick. It is not something a bastard like you can understand. After finishing the slap, the old vermilion bird's anger lessened and he thought, "Karma, karma, good. This kid has guts to light the fire of karma." The first ancestor once said that using the immortal soul fire to reach ethereal fire is not the proper method, but only because igniting the fire of karma is extremely difficult. The ancestor only succeeded thanks to the help of the celestial emperor, which why he never gave anyone else the choice. If this child can succeed, he will be the first after the first ancestor. Inside the human trial, the vortex only Wang Lin could see collapsed as if an invisible force had torn it apart. The sky gradually returned to normal. No one else inside the human trial noticed this beside Wang Lin. It was as if none of it had happened at all. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze from the sky and sat down at the top of the mountain. To ignite the fire of karma, to create a fire with one's thought. Not to burn this world but burn one's own soul. Using this dangerous method at the moment the soul was about to be destroyed to find path to survival and create the fire of karma. This will give the vermilion bird a chance to awaken a fourth time, breaking through to the realm of ethereal fire that was extremely rare for the members of the vermilion bird clan to enter. Ethereal fire, the source of all fire in the world. Whether it was the fire of jealousy, anger, madness and such emotions, they could all be used by the people who had stepped into the realm of ethereal fire. Cultivators who could reach ethereal fire were very powerful. Even if they weren't as powerful as a third-step cultivator, even third-step cultivators had to beware. When facing such a cultivator, you couldn't show any emotion, because even the smallest emotional fluctuation could be used by the enemy as a method to kill you. This was a very terrifying spell. It has to be said that all living beings have emotions. No matter how indifferent a person is or how well they can hide their emotions, emotions still exist within them. Even Tao Master Blue Dream's longing for his wife and daughter could become fuel for ethereal fire. Only those who could perfectly block all emotions or completely remove them could afford not to fear ethereal fire. The true terror of an ethereal fire cultivator wasn't seen in individual battles, but in group battles. An ethereal fire cultivators could contest against thousands. Third-step cultivators knew that breaking the void gate as a thunder cultivator was extremely difficult. Thunder was something controlled by the heavens, so attempting to break the void gate with it was even more difficult. Fire essence was part of the 5 elements. Only by becoming ethereal fire could it break free from the 5 elements. If it can evolve further into Tao fire, then one can use it to burn down the void gate to become a third-step cultivator. Wang Lin's eyes were calm. Ethereal fire was difficult to obtain because of the fire seed required for the vermilion bird's 4th awakening. However, he wasn't willing to burn this world, so he had to choose the more difficult road. This path was a walk between life and death. Wang Lin could still choose to leave this place and fail the trial. The old vermilion bird treated me so well, so how can I give up so easily? Wang Lin murmured, and determination filled his eyes. Just like how he was unwilling to burn this world, Wang Lin cared a lot about his benefactor. He couldn't disappoint the old vermilion bird. Wang Lin took a deep breath and closed his eyes. As he closed his eyes, a blue flame erupted from his body. The flame didn't spread but burned inside his body. Outsiders couldn't see the flame, but the pain of his soul burning caused even Wang Lin to tremble. He clenched his teeth and endured his soul and obsession burning until he destroyed himself. I will enter the Tao with this obsession, and not even divine retribution will stop me. Wang Lin suddenly raised his head and his eyes opened. The flame burned brightly in his body, but no one outside could see it. Time slowly passed inside the human trial. The frequency of Li Muan's visits to the top of mountain had gradually increased. Every time Wang Lin saw her, the burning in his soul became stronger, but he didn't reveal any of it. The gentleness in his eyes was deep like a lake. Li Muan gradually became used to Wang Lin's expression. Sometimes, when she came up the mountain, she would curiously chat with Wang Lin. However, the very attentive Li Muan slowly noticed that each time she came up here, the strange senior seemed a bit weaker, and even his appearance seemed to grow old. She didn't know that Wang Lin was currently suffering indescribable pain. He wanted to ignite the fire of karma, and he was using the obsession in his heart as the fuel. The stronger his obsession, the stronger the fire was. Every time he saw Li Muan, his obsession became even stronger. The fire would become more intense and the pain would intensify. Time passed. After unknown amount of time, the fire inside Wang Lin's soul had reached a certain degree. His eyes had become unfocused and his body weak. His face had aged from a young man to a middle-aged man. It was as if 2,000 years of time had quickly descended on Wang Lin as his soul burned. Give up. You can't withstand the burning of your soul. Although this old man hasn't experienced it, from what I heard from the ancestor, I could tell that he still dreads that feeling. The collapsed vortex appeared once more in the sky. The old vermilion bird came once more because he was worried. His words were filled with worry. Wang Lin clenched his teeth, and his mind was already unclear. The intense pain was like a tide that almost drowned him. This kind of pain was several times stronger than anything Wang Lin had encountered before. Only when he faced the ancient god Calamity, where his body continued to collapse and reform, did he experience comparable pain. However, there was still a big difference between these two types of pain. You're still burning your soul, but your obsession hasn't transformed into the fire of karma. This degree of pain is only the beginning. Once the fire of karma has appeared, you will go through the 9 karma retributions. Even the ancestor could only pass it under someone's protection. You can still give up now. Once your obsession turns into the fire of karma, it will destroy your soul in a flash. There will be no chance for you to turn it into karmic fire. If it wasn't for the protection of the celestial emperor, the ancestor wouldn't have succeeded. The old vermilion bird's voice was filled with worry. That little girl is the obsession in your heart. In this human trial, everything is only an illusion. Why are you putting yourself in such a life and death situation for an illusion? Wang Lin, why are you so obsessive? The old vermilion bird's voice became even more anxious, and there was a tone of harshness in his voice. Wang Lin didn't answer. At this moment his mind was a blur. The pain turned into memories that flashed across his soul. His first encounter with Li Muan, the Sea of Devils, the cloud sky sect her death, until she became a sleeping corpse in the coffin. All of these memories burned in his soul. It has been a long time. If you continue, there will be life-threatening danger. Since you are unwilling to cut yourself off from this world, then even if you end up hating this old man, I'll destroy this world for you. As the old vermilion bird's words echoed, a sea of fire suddenly appeared from the vortex. The fire spread in all directions, and in the blink of an eye, it surrounded the world. It was about to descend and burn everything. At this moment, Li Muan appeared on the top of the mountain. She was gasping for breath and had just reached the top of the mountain. She couldn't see the fire, but in Wang Lin's blurry vision, he could see the sea of fire attempting to devour Li Muan like a big mouth. At this instant, Wang Lin's eyes became clear and a monstrous fire appeared in his eyes. The moment the fire was about to touch Li Muan, Wang Lin hugged her and used his back to block that sea of fire. Li Muan was startled. As Wang Lin hugged her, he turned around and let out a roar at the sky. I can do it. You! The old vermilion bird was extremely angry. The fire he had sent from the sky was stopped. Ancestor, I have cultivated for my entire life only for her. Even if it is only an illusion, this junior is unwilling to hurt her, much less destroy her. Wang Lin looked at the sky with tears flowing down his cheeks, landing on the Li Muan in his arms. The hot tears seemed to enter her heart, and her eyes became filled with confusion. The moment Wang Lin said these words, the fire in his soul erupted, becoming several times stronger than before. There was a strand of black fire inside this fire. This black fire caused the world to change colors and completely suppressed the blue fire inside Wang Lin's soul. Fire of karma! The old vermilion bird gasped and let out a sigh. Now that your obsession has turned into fire of karma, aside from the first-generation ancestor, no one can stop you. Forget it. Since you chose it, forget it. The old vermilion bird's voice gradually dissipated, the sea of fire disappeared, and the vortex collapsed. The black fire instantly filled Wang Lin's body and took over the blue fire. In an instant, more than 80% of the blue fire had turned black. Intense pain came from his soul, causing his body to tremble. The pain became thousands of times more intense than before. His soul was being rapidly destroyed. His body rapidly dissipated, but his arms still held Li Muwen. He did his best to hide the intense pain, and he gently looked at Li Muwen. Wang Lin looked at Li Muwen and softly said, "To have you accompany me for these days, I'm very happy. Even though you're only an illusion, I won't allow anyone to hurt you." However, his voice contained a force that shocked Li Muwen's mind. "You? Who are you?" Li Muwen stared at Wang Lin. The her in the past was like a butterfly that had turned into a soul inside Wang Lin's hands. He tried to hold on, but he grasped only empty air as her soul floated into the sky from his arms. The past her's eyes were filled with sentiment and tenderness as she slowly aged. An entire lifetime passed and her hair turned white and she passed away. She closed her eyes, and this became a scene Wang Lin could never forget in his life. She raised her right hand to touch Wang Lin's face one last time, but she lost all strength midway and her hand fell down. The tears that fell from her eyes fell on the ground and turned into a flower that may or may not bloom in the next season. In the blink of an eye, thousands of years passed. The past was like a fleeting moment. Thousands of years couldn't be considered long, but it was enough to forget everything. However, Wang Lin couldn't forget this and had always remembered. Now it was as if time had reversed, and Wang Lin was holding the person he wasn't willing to give up. However, because Li Muwen had turned into a soul fragment back then, he couldn't grasp anything. Now, although Li Muwen was an illusion, she was so real to Wang Lin that he felt like he was holding the world. Except now he didn't have the strength, he didn't have the body to continue holding her. His hands gradually dissipated as the black fire burned and turned transparent. His hands passed through Li Muwen's body and dissipated. His face rapidly changed from middle-aged. It was as if years had quickly passed and he had turned into an old man. Then he became transparent. It was as if the past had repeated itself, only their positions had changed. The only thing that didn't change was the gentleness in his eyes as his body dissipated. The black fire finally took over the blue fire and Wang Lin dissipated completely from the world. The gaze under the black fire moved further and further away from Li Muwen. Li Muwen's body slumped to the ground as she looked at the seemingly eternal gaze in the sky, her mind trembling. Li Muwen struggled to roar. "Who the hell are you?" There was an unknown pain in her heart. She didn't know where this pain came from, but it became stronger and stronger. The fire of karma ignited and destroyed everything, but it couldn't destroy Wang Lin's Tao heart and his memories. The fire of karma is formed by my obsession. I have used my obsession to cultivate, and I have cultivated for my entire life for her. The heavens are heartless and want to erase all obsession. However, my obsession has already turned into the fire of karma, and not even the heavens can take it away. If this fire of karma wants to burn my body, if this fire of karma wants to destroy me, I won't stop it. This fire is the obsession of my life. This is my Tao. What is the point of cultivating the heartless Tao of the heavens? I have cultivated with my obsession, and used this obsession to form the cycle of karma. So what if I don't go to heaven? So what if I go to hell? As long as hell is free, what's so bad about it? Just as the fire of karma was going to destroy him, a shocking vermilion bird cry echoed. A vermilion bird appeared inside the black fire. The vermilion bird was large, and it was no longer blue but black. It was like a black phoenix being reborn inside the black fire. The cry of the vermilion bird echoed across the entire world. It penetrated the human trial and spread out from the incense stick on the back of the tortoise. It shook the entire great emperor planet. The handsome young man had already waited for several days, but he hadn't become impatient at all. He had just taken out another peach and was about to eat it when his body trembled. He stared at the first incense stick. The cry of the vermilion bird echoed across the world. Tao Master Blue Dream's eyes shone a strange light, and there was also a hint of shock in them. The cry of a vermilion bird. This is not an ordinary vermilion bird, this is... The cry of this vermilion bird was indeed not ordinary. It contained a powerful defying nature that would never yield. It seemed like it had come from hell rather than the heavens. Impossible. Grandmaster Yun Luo foresaw that that little bastard would face a life-and-death trial that would be extremely difficult to pass. Master Simo's expression changed greatly as he stared at the first incense stick. Grandmaster Yun Luo also revealed an expression of shock on her pretty face. Her right hand hidden under her sleeve moved even faster, forming afterimages. However, her fingers trembled and her fingertips tore open, and blood flew out. It was as if a force had stopped her divination, or Wang Lin's current situation was outside of her power to divinate. The old vermilion bird revealed a hint of excitement and let out a laugh. His eyes lit up. As the second-generation vermilion bird, he understood the cry of the vermilion bird extremely well. Just by hearing it, he could understand what had happened inside the human trial. Good boy. He was able to reform his vermilion bird under the fire of karma. After this comes the 9 karma retributions. This is the most difficult part. Only the old man sitting on the lizard still had his closed as if none of this could catch his attention. The woman beside Tao Master Blue Dream was staring at the first incense stick. She was biting her lower lip, and tears filled with complicated feelings were falling. Inside the human trial, the black vermilion bird opened its wings and flew up into the sky. Its body was covered in endless black flames and emitted an unimaginably high temperature. However, this temperature didn't affect this world at all, and was condensed on the vermilion bird's body. The cry of the vermilion bird became even louder, and it contained a fluctuation that could shock one's mind. The black vermilion bird was formed by Wang Lin's soul. The fire of karma has ignited and will burn the cycle of karma. Help my vermilion bird awaken a 4th time. The black vermilion bird hissed and charged at the sky. When it reached the top, black fire erupted from its body. From a distance, this fire looked like a giant torch, and the heart of the fire was the dancing vermilion bird. With my obsession fire, Wang Lin's voice echoed across the world. The fire around Wang Lin turned into a sea of flames and spread with the vermilion bird as the center. In the blink of an eye, the entire sky was covered in this black fire, but no living thing in the human trial was able to feel it. This sea of fire that covered the sky became stronger and stronger. It was like a violent wave that swept across the sky. Human incense stick ignite. Wang Lin's roar became the voice of the vermilion bird and spread across the sky. The sea of fire suddenly contracted toward Wang Lin and turned into a pillar of fire that shot into the sky. Wang Lin's soul reformed on top of the black vermilion bird inside the fire. He looked up at the sky and waved his hand. Rumble, 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 rumble. Thunderous rumbles echoed across the sky and turned into a force that wanted to rip the sky open. At this moment, strands of black smoke came from the first incense stick on the back of the giant tortoise. Ignited! The first incense stick has been ignited. Let's see how long he can last. The cultivators had waited for many days and were becoming impatient. If not for their fear of the young emperor, they would have already left. However, at this moment they all looked at the black smoke that was rising up. At first the black smoke was like silk but soon increased like a signal fire. The high temperature began to spread and the human incense burned brightly. The burning was extremely intense. From a distance, the fire was monstrous and was rapidly burning down the incense stick. Its speed was indescribable. In an instant, more than half of it was burned to ashes. Compared to the other 2 incense sticks, this scene was shocking. Just as the 10,000 cultivators thought the incense was going to burn completely, in a flash, the fire suddenly stopped. This pause seemed to fuse with the minds of all the surrounding cultivators, causing their hearts to tremble. Master Simo stared intently at the human incense stick. Grandmaster Yun Luo's face was a bit pale, and there was a hint of gloominess in her eyes. Inside the human trial, Wang Lin looked at the sky as he stood on the black vermilion bird. His body gave off endless black flames and he took a deep breath. He looked down at the gentle figure slumped on the ground on the mountain peak and softly whispered something. I'm Wang Lin. After he finished speaking his last words to Li Muwen, he suddenly raised his head. 9 karma retributions come. The 9 karma retributions was the retribution of the fire of karma. The first-generation vermilion bird had lost his life to this retribution. If not for the protection of the celestial emperor, he would have died. At this moment, Wang Lin was going to go through the 9 karma retributions as the 6th-generation vermilion bird with no one protecting him. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and purple fire appeared in the world with white and black above and below them. These 9 colors were the 9 retributions. It started with the black fire and ended with the black fire, forming a cycle. If he could pass them all, he could ignite the karmic fire, which would allow the vermilion bird to awaken a 4th time. His corporeal fire would enter the realm of ethereal fire. 9 karma retributions descend. The black fire around Wang Lin seemed to be swept by a violent wind and suddenly changed to blood red. The blood red light seemed to dye the entire earth red. Thunderous rumbles echoed and the endless red fire around Wang Lin charged toward him from all directions. On the great emperor planet, the first incense stick began to burn down once more after the pause. It had been exactly 1 breath of time since the incense stick had been ignited. The blood-red fire filled the sky of the human trial. It formed a powerful heat wave and surged at Wang Lin. The power inside this fire was enough to burn the heavens itself. Wang Lin was inside the fire and standing on top of the black vermilion bird. He could feel the temperature of the blood-red fire, and when the heat wave closed in, he felt the pain of being burned. The first of the 9 karma retributions was red. It represented all the slaughter Wang Lin had done for his obsession. This slaughter retribution surged and burned violently. The vermilion bird under Wang Lin let out miserable cries under the heat of this red fire. Even Wang Lin's recently reformed soul almost collapsed, and he was about to be burned alive. Although he had tried to predict the power of the 9 karma retributions, he didn't think the first retribution would already be so difficult to bear. Inside this red fire, just an instant feel like an eternity. The black vermilion bird couldn't bear it, and its body rapidly shrank. The black fire on its body rapidly turned red. If it turned completely red, the vermilion bird would become part of the first retribution. Its power would then increase and it would devour Wang Lin. Wang Lin let out a roar at the sky, and there was a hint of madness in his eyes. The first retribution was unexpectedly powerful, and he had found it difficult to resist. However, Wang Lin would never yield. He waved his arms and inhaled. First retribution, let's see if you will burn me alive or if I will devour you first. A sense of madness appeared within Wang Lin. The more dangerous it was, the more indomitable he became. At this moment, in just 1 breath, all the red fire rushed into his mouth and Wang Lin devoured it in an instant. All of this happened in an instant, and all the red fire had disappeared from the sky. However, it erupted inside his body and he became like a blood person. The blood light pierced through his body as if it was trying to tear his body apart. This body was formed by Wang Lin's soul, and at this moment, the red fire was burning inside his soul. On the great emperor planet, the first incense stick on the giant tortoise burned like crazy. Before everyone's eyes, the black smoke coming from the first incense stick suddenly turned red. The red smoke was monstrous and lit up the entire planet. The surrounding cultivators all gasped and subconsciously wanted to retreat. Just at this moment, even more intense red light came from Wang Lin's body. The red light moved inside his body, creating extremely high temperature. At the same time, the burning of the first incense stick suddenly stopped for a moment. It was like a force had erupted from within, stopping it from burning. The old vermilion bird stared at the first incense stick with worry in his eyes. Inside the human trial, Wang Lin had devoured all the red fire. He felt like tens of thousands of bolts of thunder were exploding in his body at once. The intense pain made him feel like he was going to disintegrate. Wang Lin let out a roar and waved his hand. The half-red vermilion bird rushed toward Wang Lin and they instantly fused into one. Wang Lin's expression was ferocious as he allowed the fire to burn inside his body. He endured the intense pain as he continued to refine the red fire. He was trying to make the red fire his own. Just at this moment, the sky changed and an orange light appeared. When the orange light appeared, the second retribution descended. Wang Lin had no time to refine the fire he had consumed before the orange fire surrounded him and rushed at him. After the orange fire came a monstrous yellow light, followed by a giant wave of yellow fire. What was even more shocking was that behind the yellow fire was ghostly green light. It was like a barrier that created shocking green fire that rapidly closed in. 3 colors of fire had appeared at the same time. 3 of the retributions had appeared together. This was the true terror of the 9 karma retributions. It wasn't like the divine retribution, which gave you a glimmer of hope and had a break between each retribution. This was a destructive retribution, and it was going to kill once it appeared. The 3 retributions covered the sky of the human trial. The first incense stick outside reacted to reflect the situation. Orange, yellow, and green smoke surged on top of the incense stick. The first retribution hasn't passed yet, and the orange, yellow, and green retributions came at once. How is he supposed to pass this? The old vermilion bird's expression changed greatly. This was his first time seeing the 9 karma retributions, and he didn't expect it to be so fierce. Master Sima was the most happy about this. He revealed a vicious smile as he stared at the first incense stick and thought, although I don't know what's going on, it looks like it will be difficult for that little bastard to escape death. It's a pity I can't find his secret, but it's good that he will die. Grandmaster Yun Luo also relaxed a bit. The injuries on her fingers had also healed. She looked at the first incense stick and thought, it looks like he isn't the person divined by the ancestor. Father. Li Qianmei bit her lower lip and turned toward her father. There was still confusion in her eyes, but it was accompanied by pain and pleading. Dao Master Blue Dream let out a sigh and softly said, I will help him, you can rest assured. However, I feel like he will be able to pass this calamity. Inside the human trial, Wang Lin's body was still giving off a red glow and his eyes contained a struggle against fate. 3 of the Nina retributions have appeared at once. Good. I want to see how these 3 retributions will destroy my soul. He didn't give in to the pain and laughed instead. He suppressed the pain his body as he waved his arms and inhaled once more. I'll inhale all 4 of these fires into my soul. Either you all burn me to death or I devour you all. An unspeakable sense of pride, an unexplainable attitude toward life, an unrecordable sense of loftiness toward the heavens and heavenly Tao, and the unpaintable pursuit for a thought. All of these had fused together in Wang Lin's laugh to form a fate-defying sound. As his laugh echoed, 2,000 years of cultivation flashed across Wang Lin's eyes. As his memories clash across his mind, his parents appeared in his heart. The bitterness of going back to his hometown, kneeling before the graves of his family members, the rainy night when his family was robbed from him. All these scenes flashed through his mind. As the memories resurfaced, the orange fire rushed into Wang Lin's body. It crossed paths with the red light. If the soul was filled with sorrow, one would think about one's home. If the soul returns to one's home, tears of sorrow would be shed before the grave. After the orange fire, the yellow light rushed in. It formed a seal of fire around the orange fire and burned Wang Lin's body like crazy. Time was ruthless, and the yearning for those that parted would become an eternal injury that would accompany you for a lifetime. Ghost-like green fire arrived and covered the entire sky green. The green fire was like a ghost, and it suddenly entered Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and the flowing memories in his head stopped. The 4 kinds of fire burned like crazy and a destructive force appeared. Wang Lin's refining speed couldn't compare to the 4 fires at all, and it seemed like he was about to be burned alive. Wang Lin raised his hand and waved it to open his storage space. The jug filled with dragon blood appeared in Wang Lin's hand. Just one mouthful of this dragon blood could cause the fire inside Wang Lin's body to increase in power greatly. At this moment, he didn't hesitate to laugh and drink from the jug. He drank the entire jug in one go, leaving not a single drop. He waved his right hand and threw the jug away. The fire inside Wang Lin's body surged. The hot dragon blood turned into a sea of fire and began battling the 4 colors inside his body. As he resisted, a vortex slowly appeared deep inside Wang Lin's soul. This vortex came from the heaven-defying bead that was gradually awakening. I have devoured all 4 of the retributions into my soul, so it has nothing to burn. Why hasn't the 5th retribution descended? The fire in his body had reached a limit. He let out a roar and rushed into the sky. The sky was like a barrier and he quickly arrived at the end. Thunderous rumbles echoed as the sky collapsed. There was another land behind the crumbled sky. It was a land filled with endless souls. It was like the underworld. The 10,000 cultivators staring at the first incense stick had found that the fire on it had stopped completely. It remained motionless 100 feet above Wang Lin. Time slowly passed, one breath, one breath. In a flash, more than 5 breaths had passed. The 4th-generation vermilion bird had only lasted 5 breaths, but now Wang Lin had unexpectedly also lasted 5 breaths. 6 breaths. 7 breaths. The handsome young man's eyes narrowed and revealed a strange light. Just as the incense stick lasted 7 breaths, a wave of exclamations echoed. This wasn't just one person but thousands of people. Soon the sound was heaven-shaking. What caused them to exclaim wasn't the incense stick lasting 7 breaths, but the fire on the human incense stick had unexpectedly extinguished. The incense stick had been extinguished. This sudden scene caused an uproar. Even the old vermilion bird's eyes widened and filled with disbelief. This. Master Sima was startled for a moment and shock filled his eyes. Grandmaster Yun Luo's expression changed greatly. She ignored the injuries on her fingers and tried to divinate once more. The human incense stick has been extinguished. This has never happened before. Even during my trial and the 4th generation's trial, the incense stick was never extinguished. The incense stick has actually gone out. The old vermilion bird's mind trembled as he looked at the extinguished human incense stick, and terror appeared in his eyes. The incense stick has been extinguished. How long did he last in the trial? 7 breaths or infinite? What happened during the 3rd young emperor's trial to cause the incense stick to extinguish? This matter is too terrifying. It is unimaginable. Just as all the cultivators went in an uproar, an even more shocking thing happened. The 2nd incense stick that represented the earth incense stick suddenly ignited. No one had touched it, but smoke quickly appeared on top of the 2nd incense stick. Wang Lin had broken the sky of the human trial and had appeared in a boundless land. This land was covered in cracks and there was a deep pit that led to the human trial. As Wang Lin rushed out of this pit, fire spread out from his body. The entire earth was lit up by this fire. At the edge of the land there was a barren mountain, and a person was sitting on top of the mountain. This person seemed middle-aged and there was an illusory vermilion bird mark between his eyebrows. He was originally cultivating as if he hadn't moved for tens of thousands of years. However, at this moment, he opened his eyes and a strange light flashed by. The aura of a clan member. Just as Wang Lin appeared in the earth trial, endless fire appeared with him. Indigo light rushed out and the world was covered in a sea of indigo fire. After the indigo fire was the blue fire. The 2 fires surged toward Wang Lin. Indigo originally came from blue, so the 2 fires entangled together. After them was a purple fire that covered the sky. It was like a demonic fire that stretched across the horizon. Indigo, blue and purple fires all rushed toward him at once. Wang Lin's face was twisted and his soul was about to collapse. The 4 fires burned in his body, causing his eyes to turn cloudy. In an instant, the fire inside him penetrated his body and erupted outwards. The red, orange, yellow and green fires had torn his body apart. Even the vermilion bird inside his body was burned to death. Wang Lin's soul collapsed. At the same time, the indigo, blue and purple fires closed in on Wang Lin's collapsed soul. When the 7 colors gathered, it looked like a rainbow was burning the sky. The expression of the middle-aged man at the horizon changed. He waved his right hand and the mark between his eyebrows flew out. It flew at an extremely fast speed toward the 7-colored fire. At the same time, Wang Lin's body on the Great Emperor planet was covered in a 7-colored light. Fine cracks appeared on his body and blood began to ooze out. It was a shocking scene. The old vermilion bird didn't hesitate to arrive next to the 2nd burning incense stick. He ignored the fact that it was rapidly burning and placed his right hand on it. His powerful divine sense rushed in. Tao Master Blue Dream also stepped forward and arrived next to the 2nd incense stick. Blue light covered his body and his finger landed on the 2nd incense stick. Inside the earth trial, the 7-colored fire raged. Not even the 1st generation vermilion bird was able to pass this trial without the protection of the celestial emperor. The retribution burned Wang Lin's soul. Just as his soul was dissipating, 3 forces came to his rescue. However, just as the 3 auras closed in, a strange force suddenly erupted from within the 7-colored fire. This strange force revealed an ancient aura, and it felt like it was the ancestor of all things. The moment the vermilion bird mark from the middle-aged man touched this strange force, it was bounced back thousands of kilometers. It was as if the power that had awakened won't allow anyone to approach it, or to be more accurate, no one was qualified to approach it. The middle-aged man's eyes narrowed and he suddenly stood up. Horror quickly gathered in his eyes. What is this? The old vermilion bird's divine sense arrived, but the moment it touched the mysterious force, he was directly knocked out of the earth trial. Tao Master Blue Dream's divine sense followed, but the moment he touched the strange force, there were flashes of blue light and he was also pushed out of the earth trial. On the Great Emperor planet, the old vermilion bird's right hand was knocked up into the air. His eyes were filled with disbelief and he subconsciously took a few steps back. What kind of power is that? Tao Master Blue Dream felt his finger go numb and retreated in shock. He knew a lot about Wang Lin, and he recognized the force that had terrified him. It was the heaven-defying bead. Tao Master Blue Dream didn't speak, and he silently returned to Li Qianmei's side. He will be fine. Master Simo watched all of this in shock. He had noticed that the two of them had gone in to save Wang Lin, but he never would have expected these two powerhouses to be knocked back. Grandmaster Yun Luo's expression became even gloomier, and her hand moved even faster. She faintly felt like she was about to learn all the secrets that were happening inside. Dao Master Miao Yun stood up from the cloud and his eyes flashed. What Daoist water said was correct. Inside the earth trial, the moment Wang Lin's soul had been burned, the heaven-defying bead appeared. Ever since the Lord of the Sealed Realm left it, the heaven-defying bead hadn't appeared. No matter how much Wang Lin searched for it, he couldn't find it. It was as if it had disappeared. However, at this moment, the heaven-defying bead had reappeared. The moment it appeared, the seven-colored fire trembled and began to rotate. It was inhaled by the strange force inside the heaven-defying bead and formed 7 eternal fire seeds. A bead the size of a baby's fist floated there, and 7 fire seeds floated around it. An illusory figure gradually formed and appeared in the world. The 7 eternal fire seeds were located in various parts of the body that was materializing. When he opened his eyes, the 7-colored fire erupted and surged across the world. Wang Lin's expression was calm as he looked at the sky in the distance. The entire world seemed to have lost all color beside the 7 colors around Wang Lin. Everything else had turned black and white. It was like a landscape painting, and this black and white gave off the feeling of endless desolation. The last retribution of the 9 karma retribution was descending. The white was the sky and the black was the earth. They formed 2 extreme fires and closed in on Wang Lin. It was as if the sky and earth were crushing down to destroy the 7-colored firestorm in Wang Lin, who was within it. It was too fast and closed in an instant. The white fire was hot and began burning the 7-colored storm. As the white integrated into the firestorm, another color was added. Wang Lin's expression was still calm as the 8-colored fire surrounded him. He watched the black fire close in. The 9 karma retributions began with black fire and ended with black fire, forming a cycle. As the black fire closed in, Wang Lin slowly closed his eyes. A thunderous rumble echoed as the black fire rushed in. This caused the 8-colored fire to reach the limit of a 9-colored fire. All 9 karma retributions had appeared, forming an earth-shattering storm. Wang Lin was at the center of the storm, and his hair was moving without any wind. Aside from the 7 different colored fires in his body, the black and white fire quickly condensed. The white fire was in his dantian and the black fire was between his eyebrows. When the 2 fires completely formed, Wang Lin opened his eyes. The world rumbled. Ignite my karma cycle fire. As Wang Lin's voice echoed, the 9-colored fire around his body condensed toward his eyebrows and fused inside. It turned into a 9-colored fire lotus. The fire lotus had 9 petals of 9 different colors. At the moment it appeared, a 9-colored vermilion bird charged out from the lotus. The 9-colored vermilion bird seemed to have been reborn inside the lotus. It flew into the sky and let out a vermilion bird cry, the cry of the 4th awakening. On the great emperor planet, the cry of awakening echoed. The earth incense stick had only burned halfway when it suddenly paused and gave off a 9-colored light that lit up the entire planet. The old vermilion bird was startled before letting out a loud laugh, and excitement filled his eyes. He actually passed the 9 karma retributions and ignited his karma cycle fire, so his vermilion bird could go through its 4th awakening. The 4th awakening requires a large amount of fire. Whether he can completely awaken and reach the realm of ethereal fire will depend on this. As his elder, even if I have to cheat, I have to give him a hand. The old vermilion bird jumped into the air and disappeared before everyone. In just a moment, the roar of a dragon echoed in the distance. This roar was filled with anger and indignation. One could see a 100,000-foot-long dragon being brought over by the old vermilion bird. The surrounding cultivators were all gobsmacked as the old vermilion bird carried the struggling dragon above the incense stick. He waved his right hand and a wound appeared on the scab on the dragon's head. Blood fell like a waterfall on the incense stick. Under this intense pain, water gathered in the fire dragon's eyes. It was filled with grievance and reluctance, and it began to struggle even more violently. With a bang, the old vermilion bird landed on the dragon. A surge of fire entered the dragon's body, causing even more blood to flow out. "Damn it, you little dragon, don't move recklessly. If this kid awakens successfully, this old man will let you go free." When the fire dragon heard this, it showed a hint of hesitation, but soon it clenched its teeth and did its best to squeeze out more blood. Visit and read more novel to help us update chapter quickly. Thank you so much. The 100,000-foot dragon naturally had a lot of blood in its body, but the blood the old vermilion bird wanted was the blazing dragon blood within the bump on the dragon's head. This blood contained the essence of the fire inside the dragon. This was much more precious than the blood from the rest of its body and was very rare. That slap from the old vermilion bird also forced out all of the blazing dragon blood, and it fell on the burning earth incense stick. The moment the blood fell, it entered the incense stick and disappeared. Inside the earth trial, the 9-colored fire lotus was floating in the sky and Wang Lin was sitting above it. Behind it, the 9-colored vermilion bird continued to cry. There was a sense of struggle in its cry, as if it was trying to be reborn. There were endless flashes of light that spread across all directions. The sea of fire spread across the earth realm. Wang Lin's eyes were bright as his hands formed a seal and a fire tattoo flashed in his eye. This fire was 9-colored, and it began to rotate. It rotated very fast, and in a flash it looked like a 9-colored vortex. 9 colors fused into one. Vermilion Bird Fourth Awakening. Wang Lin's mind was clear. He had experienced 3 awakenings, and his power of fire had increased many folds each time. However, the previous 3 times couldn't compare to this awakening. The 4th awakening was extremely critical. It was the point where the corporeal fire transformed into ethereal fire. Since ancient times, far too few people were able to awaken their vermilion bird 4 times. No more than 5 people. The 1st generation vermilion bird, 2nd generation vermilion bird, 3rd generation vermilion bird, 4th generation vermilion bird. Aside from them, only Wang Lin had done it. Even though the 3rd step ancestor of the Fire Sparrow clan also had a hint of ethereal fire, he wasn't even a vermilion bird to begin with, so how could he even awaken? Even if he could give birth to ethereal fire, it would be nothing compared to the ethereal fire of a proper vermilion bird. The difficulty of the 4th awakening was indescribable. The power of ethereal fire spells could cause all cultivators to tremble in fear. However, the vermilion bird's 4th awakening required an unimaginable amount of fire. Only when enough heavenly fire had been gathered could there be a chance of awakening. The 9-colored fire lotus below Wang Lin released endless 9-colored fire which entered his body. This fire appeared inside his left eye, causing the 9-colored vortex to rotate even faster. At the same time, the large 9-colored vermilion bird cried even louder. Its cries were heaven-shattering and caused the entire earth trial to tremble. Not enough fire. Wang Lin looked up and fire erupted from his body. The 9-colored vortex flew out from his left eye and formed a 9-colored firestorm around him. This firestorm looked like it could destroy this world. Wang Lin's vermilion bird's 4th awakening relied on burning his obsession to ignite the fire of karma. Thus, the amount of fire required was even higher. Just at this instant, dark red blood light flashed in the earth trial and a thin blood rain began to fall. The blood rain fell from the sky, and each drop contained destructive fire from the fire dragon. Its arrival brought Wang Lin a new source of fire. As the blood raindrops fell, they began to gather around Wang Lin rather than fall on the ground. Soon, a ball of blood formed around Wang Lin. The ball of blood began to burn and immediately started being absorbed by the 9-colored vermilion bird. The amount of fire inside Wang Lin's body increased rapidly, and the 9-colored vermilion bird let out a heaven-shaking cry. The fire in the entire earth trial became even stronger. The rain of blood continued to fall, and as Wang Lin's hands formed seals, the fire around him burned like crazy. The 9-colored vermilion bird let out cries as the blood rain fused with it. Then the 9-colored feathers on his body began to burn. Still not enough. Wang Lin's eyes shined. He could feel that the fire hadn't reached the point where his vermilion bird could go through its 4th awakening. The eyes of the middle-aged man on the empty mountain revealed a strange light. He looked into the distance and his hands formed a seal and the fire mark between his brows floated before him. The fire mark became ethereal, as if it didn't exist. This middle-aged man let out a sigh and murmured, "This person has the aura of someone I'm familiar with, the aura of my disciple Lu Yun. When I left back then, I made it difficult for that child. The middle-aged man's eyes dimmed as he reached for the fire before him and threw it. An ethereal fire began to burn inside the earth trial. This fire gave off no heat but could still burn everything in its path. The moment it appeared, it flew toward Wang Lin. In an instant, the monstrous ethereal fire appeared around Wang Lin and quickly entered the struggling 9-colored vermilion bird. The middle-aged man was the master of the 5th generation, vermilion bird Lu Yun, the 4th generation vermilion bird. He had awakened the vermilion bird and entered the realm of ethereal fire. The moment the ethereal fire fused with Wang Lin's vermilion bird, the vermilion bird let out a noble cry. The fire around Wang Lin increased several-fold. With the help of this fire, Wang Lin, who was sitting on the fire lotus, let out a roar. The fire around him surged and the 9-colored firestorm shrouded around him and the vermilion bird. As the vortex rotated, the 9 colors were about to fuse into one. It started rotating even faster and more violently. In an instant, the 9-colored firestorm became a blur of chaos and the 9 colors became blurry. In an instant, the red within the 9 colors collapsed and dissipated. Soon after, orange trembled and disappeared. These 2 colors of fire seemed to have fused, making this firestorm even more intense. The entire Earth trial was burning under this sea of fire. At this moment, on the great Emperor planet, the dragon was staring at the old vermilion bird. All the blazing dragon blood from the bump on its head had been squeezed dry, to the point that not a single drop more could be forced out. The old vermilion bird stared at it and roared, "Damn it, what are you staring at? Since all the blazing dragon blood is gone, give me some ordinary dragon blood. You're so large, it won't be any problem to shed some blood." The dragon was going to let out a roar of revolt, but the old vermilion bird was one step faster. He waved his hand and an invisible force sealed the dragon's mouth, causing its roar to be forced back with nowhere to go. Borrowing this roar that was forced back, the old vermilion bird waved his hand. A wound 1,000 feet long appeared on the dragon, and blood gushed out of it like a waterfall. "You have already given up all your blazing dragon blood, but if you give up now, it will all be a waste. If that kid can't awaken, I won't keep my promise." The grievance in the dragon's eyes became even stronger, but when it heard the old vermilion bird's words, it closed its eyes. It began to squeeze out its own blood like crazy while roaring in its heart. "These vermilion birds are all perverted. It was the 1st generation vermilion bird that tricked me to make me leave the flame domain and then constantly drew blood. What kind of life is this? Now that the 2nd generation vermilion bird has promised me freedom, this old dragon has to try." Large amounts of dragon blood entered the earth trial. The blood rain fell from the sky, causing the fire to become even stronger. Although this dragon blood couldn't compare to the blazing dragon blood, there was much more of it. Thus, the amount of fire Wang Lin had for his 4th awakening increased. The firestorm around Wang Lin roared. After the red and orange fires disappeared, the yellow fire disappeared as well, followed by the ghostly green fire. On the great Emperor planet, the old vermilion bird's eyes shined. He clenched his teeth as his left hand formed a seal, and he pointed to the spot between his brows before pointing at the earth incense stick. An ethereal fire shot out from his finger toward the earth incense stick. "Little fellow, in order to help you, this old man has given it his all. Whether you can awaken for the 4th time will depend on your own luck." Inside the earth trial after the rain of blood, the old vermilion bird's ethereal fire rushed in and fused with Wang Lin's vermilion bird. The appearance of this force caused the indigo, blue and purple fires to disappear from the firestorm around Wang Lin. At this moment, 7 colors had already fused. Only black and white continued to struggle. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He waved his hand and whispered, "The fire here has already reached a limit, and there is nothing left to burn. In that case, I don't need any help. I will fuse the black and white fires by force." "Dao spell fuse!" Wang Lin roared, and the black and white fire around him trembled. A strange force came out of Wang Lin's body. It was a force that could fuse anything. At this moment, the white fire immediately dissipated. There was only black fire left within the firestorm. This black firestorm was still rotating, but it became lighter and lighter, weaker and weaker. A moment later, Wang Lin stood up and let out a roar, causing the black fire to collapse. The 9 colors fused into one. The moment the 9 colors fused into one, Wang Lin's vermilion bird rushed out. The vermilion bird was surrounded by faint ethereal fire, and it let out a heaven-shaking vermilion bird cry. Vermilion bird's fourth awakening complete. Fourth awakening, turn my corporeal fire into ethereal fire. Wang Lin suddenly got up. The 9-colored fire lotus below him shattered into countless fragments and gathered toward his vermilion bird. The moment the vermilion bird went through its fourth awakening, all the fire in the earth trial began to gather from all directions. In the blink of an eye, it all fused into the vermilion bird's body. The fragments of the 9-colored fire lotus formed a 9-colored armor around the vermilion bird. Then the sea of fire arrived, and in just a moment, all of it was absorbed by the vermilion bird. From afar, it no longer looked a vermilion bird, but an eternal fire spirit. The fire inside had already reached the peak of corporeal fire, and only needed one step to reach the realm of ethereal fire. The vermilion bird fire spirit seemed to distort as the fire roared, and it was going through its final transformation phase. The process could be long or short, but it couldn't be disturbed. Once it was disturbed, this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity would dissipate and the fourth awakening would revert, leaving no chance of another fourth awakening. This was an extremely critical moment for Wang Lin. However, just at this moment, a shocking change that Wang Lin couldn't have predicted occurred. The 10,000 cultivators were all starting at the earth incense stick, but only a few noticed that a shocking change was occurring in the magnetic fog around the Great Emperor planet. The magnetic force was churning the fog, and muffled rumbles could be heard from within. The Great Emperor planet was shaped like a bar, and normally it would be very difficult to detect its rotation. However, at this moment the entire planet rumbled and the sky changed colors. The surrounding cultivators all felt like the earth was shaking and the sky was trembling. The Great Emperor planet began to slowly rotate. From an almost unnoticeable rotation, it got faster and faster until it was like a needle spinning frantically on a compass. This change immediately caused the expressions of the surrounding cultivators to change. Master Simo's eyes were filled with terror as he suddenly looked up. Grandmaster Yun Luo's hand was still forming seals when, with a bang, her right hand became a bloody mess. Her body was knocked back, her face became pale, and she coughed out a mouthful of blood. The upheaval of the Great Emperor planet. A calamity will descend upon the ancient star system. Grandmaster Yun Luo trembled as she retreated with fear in her eyes. Her divination just now had reached a critical point, and she was about to divinate the truth when a force came out of nowhere and caused her right hand to explode. However, the moment her right hand was crippled and her divination was interrupted, she saw a blurry image. In that image there was a blurry figure surrounded by a bead. There was also a pointer of a compass behind him. It was the ancient star system, and it was filled with a monstrous blood light, and countless dead bodies could be seen. The entire ancient star system was dyed blood red. She saw Dao Master Miao Yin's flesh collapse and origin soul destroyed. She also saw the various third-step cultivators of the ancient star system all dying tragically. She also saw the collapse of the sealed realm formation. She also saw herself in a palm from the vague figure swinging at her. Intense pain filled her body as her body was reduced to ashes and her origin soul died. The moment her origin soul was destroyed, she let out a miserable scream. As that scream echoed at the moment of her death, that blurry figure seemed to turn around and looked at her. This gaze became her nightmare. Grandmaster Yun Luo coughed out blood once more and retreated several hundred feet. She had never felt so afraid before. Dao Master Miao Yin also jumped up, and the cloud below him dissipated. He caught the fan and his divine sense spread out, his expression immediately changing. Not only him, Dao Master Blue Dream's eyes also narrowed. He waved his right hand and blue light surrounded his daughter. His gaze locked onto the already chaotic sky. At this moment the sky was filled with fog and endless magnetic force. The magnetic fog around the planet suddenly descended. The old vermilion bird's expression was extremely serious as he silently looked up. Even the old man on the lizard that had his eyes closed the whole time suddenly opened his eyes in shock. If they reacted like this, there was no need to talk about the surrounding 10,000 cultivators. They all scattered and fear filled their minds. They could feel the earth tremble and that the Great Emperor planet was rapidly rotating. Of course, they were rotating with it. There was also that giant tortoise on the arena. It raised its head and let out a sharp roar. Even more magnetic fog appeared in the sky. The fog formed a vortex in the sky before everyone's eyes and descended on the giant tortoise on the arena. The 10,000 surrounding cultivators all scattered and fear filled their eyes. Only the old vermilion bird and company remained motionless as they stared at the incoming magnetic vortex. The magnetic vortex suddenly descended. It wasn't attacking the giant tortoise but aimed at the earth incense stick. In a flash, the vortex entered the earth incense stick. From afar, this scene looked very shocking. It was as if the earth incense stick had become a black hole that devoured all the surrounding magnetic fog. The old vermilion bird's eyes filled with shock and he subconsciously gasped. This? Master Simo's expression revealed terror. He was in a daze and couldn't guess what was happening in the earth incense stick. As for the pale Grandmaster Yun Luo, when she saw the magnetic fog enter the earth incense stick, the fear in her eyes became even stronger. Could it be that the blurry figure was him? Dao Master Miao Yun was also staring at the earth incense stick. His mind was trembling and he roared in his heart, "Heaven-defying bead. This is definitely the power of the heaven-defying bead." Inside the earth incense stick, Wang Lin was at the key moment of his fire's transformation into ethereal fire. However, the heaven-defying bead inside his body suddenly erupted with origin energy. Wang Lin's expression changed and he felt the earth trial tremble as if it was rapidly rotating. However, with him inside the trial, it was difficult to judge right away. At this moment, the sky of the earth trial was replaced by fog. This fog contained powerful magnetic force, and after it covered the whole sky, it charged at Wang Lin. Wang Lin couldn't dodge at all. The endless magnetic force rushed into his body and toward the heaven-defying bead. The heaven-defying bead appeared on his chest and looked like a cyclone that continued to devour the magnetic force. It flashed rapidly, and every time it flashed, even more magnetic fog was absorbed. All of this happened in a flash. Wang Lin felt his body rumble. As the heaven-defying bead absorbed the magnetic force, it released a force into his soul and images flashed in his mind. The images all contained the same thing. It was a giant compass. This compass was very large. It could be compared to space itself. On the compass, there was a large pointer that was slowly turning. There was flashlight that came from the pointer and went into the unknown. At the center of the compass was a socket with a giant bead. That bead was the heaven-defying bead. At the same time, the images appeared in Wang Lin's mind. An illusion that shocked everyone's minds appeared around the Great Emperor planet as well. Outside the Great Emperor planet, there were flashes of light, and a giant compass appeared. After the illusion appeared, the Great Emperor planet in the middle looked like a pointer. At this moment, the giant Emperor planet was rapidly rotating, just like a compass pointer spinning. There was a blurry bead at the center of the compass. This bead was cloudy, and a vague figure could be seen inside. This figure was Wang Lin. The pointer-like Great Emperor planet suddenly trembled and stopped rotating. It was pointing at the southwest direction. The moment it stopped rotating, a ray of ghostly light flashed from the Great Emperor planet and shot out toward the southwest direction of the ancient star system. The ghostly light was something unknown and moved at an indescribable speed. In a flash, it shot into the distance. Anything that got in its path, whether it was cultivators or cultivation planets, silently disintegrated. In a flash, the ghostly light arrived at the end of the southwest direction. This was where the Sealed Realm Formation was. The Sealed Realm Formation had cultivators stationed there at all times. All the cultivators felt their vision blur, and in a flash, these nearly 1,000 cultivators' bodies all disintegrated. The ghostly light directly collided with the Sealed Realm Formation. The Sealed Realm Formation seemed to boil and all the treasure spirits appeared. Then the ghostly light dissipated. It was unknown if it had merged with the formation or pierced into it. The illusory compass around the Great Emperor planet slowly dissipated and the planet stopped rotating, returning back to the way it was before. Inside the Earth Trial, the heaven-defying bead inside Wang Lin absorbed the last of the magnetic force. Then endless magnetic force rushed out of the bead as if it was spitting back out all of the magnetic force that was devoured. Wang Lin's body was like a sieve as the large amount of magnetic fog erupted from his body. The vermilion bird that was at the critical moment of turning from corporeal fire to ethereal fire was the first to bear the brunt of the magnetic force. The moment the magnetic force swept by, all the corporeal fire collapsed and turned into ethereal fire. However, due to the magnetic force that swept by, the fire went through a bizarre change. If the first-generation vermilion bird ancestor saw this change, even he would be shocked. The ethereal fire is invisible, and it can ignite all emotions ablaze. However, this fire can only be used to hurt enemies, and can't increase the cultivation level of a vermilion bird clan member. Ethereal fire is the fire that can exterminate the world. It can kill but can't be extracted from the cultivator's body. It's invisible so it can last forever. The amount that exists will only ever be the amount that was converted from corporeal fire. All the way until the cultivator's death. That's how much ethereal fire they will have. However, at the moment of the birth of Wang Lin's ethereal fire, it was swept by the magnetic force. A strange change that not even the first-generation ancestor could explain occurred. This moment the ethereal fire was born, it absorbed some of the magnetic force. If this was just it, it wouldn't be a big deal, as the external magnetic force could dissipate at any time. However, the magnetic force inside Wang Lin's ethereal fire came from the heaven-defying bead. So the magnetic force was eternal. As a result, although the magnetic force hadn't changed the power of the ethereal fire, it made Wang Lin the first person in existence to be able to absorb ethereal fire. Wang Lin didn't have much ethereal fire at its birth, but if he continued to absorb more, the power of his ethereal fire would be terrifying. The magnetic fog quickly surged out from Wang Lin's body and filled the Earth Trial in an instant. A moment later, it broke out from the Earth Trial and rose up above the Great Emperor planet. The endless magnetic fog rushed out and filled the sky of the Great Emperor planet. It charged back out and became the magnetic force that surrounded the planet. It looked as if hadn't changed from before, but if one looked closely, they would find the difference. Before entering the heaven-defying bead, the magnetic fog was destructive and was dead. However, now it seemed complete and seemed to contain life. The 10,000 cultivators stared dumbfoundedly at all of this. As they watched the second incense stick release all the magnetic fog, cracking sounds came from the giant incense stick that was half burned. This sound was ear-piercing and clearly entered the ears of every cultivator. Cracks appeared on the incense stick and began to spread. Soon cracks covered the entire incense stick. With a bang, the burning earth incense stick was split in half down the middle. The burning side slid off the giant tortoise and fell on the arena. The surroundings were completely silent. The human incense stick was extinguished and the earth incense stick was split in half. The only one that remained towering was the heaven incense stick. Grandmaster Yun Luo's expression was even more pale. The broken earth incense stick was like her broken mind, and the fear in her eyes became even stronger. It shouldn't be him, it can't be. It can't be him. Master Simo's mouth was dry after witnessing Wang Lin's trial. Everything that had happened was beyond his imagination. A trace of a deeply hidden sense of fear toward Wang Lin arose inside him. This was originally an impossible situation for a third-step cultivator, to dread a second-step cultivator. However, at this moment it appeared within Master Simo. Dao Master Miao Yin stared at the earth incense stick that had broken in half. His eyes narrowed as he took out a peach and took a big bite out of it. There was a flash of greed in his eyes. Heaven-defying bead. Heaven-defying bead. I want it. Dao Master Blue Dream had a complicated expression as he withdrew his gaze and silently pondered. Beside him, Li Qianmei lowered her head, so no one could see her expression. The old vermilion bird scratched his head and revealed a bitter smile. This little fellow, what did he do? The change to the Great Emperor planet was clearly related to him. How many secrets does his kid have hidden? This is great. The first incense stick went out and the second incense stick was split in half. How can the trial continue? How will the trial be scored? The surrounding 10,000 cultivators went into an uproar after a brief moment of silence. The second incense stick actually split in half. What cultivation level is this third young emperor at to be able to do this? The first incense stick extinguishing is already shocking, but it is nothing compared to the second incense stick splitting in half. I fear this is not related to the third young emperor. I think it has to do with the magnetic fog. However, why would the magnetic fog suddenly enter the incense stick? Various thoughts appeared in their heads, but all of their eyes landed on Wang Lin's body before the first incense stick, and they awaited his awakening. Will this person awaken, or will he ignite the next incense stick without touching it like before? In the Earth trial, after all the magnetic fog had rushed out of Wang Lin's body, the heaven-defying bead gradually disappeared. The entire Earth trial quieted down. Only the ethereal fire around Wang Lin's vermilion bird was silently burning. After a long time, Wang Lin looked at the vermilion bird and inhaled. The vermilion bird let out a cry and entered his left eye. At the same time, ethereal fire appeared around Wang Lin's body. This fire was colorless and gave off a destructive aura. Wang Lin let out a deep breath of foul air and looked up at the sky. A moment later, instead of opting to leave, he stepped forward. He crossed tens of thousands of kilometers and arrived at the edge of the Earth trial, at the empty mountain that wasn't burned. The 4th generation vermilion bird was sitting silently on the empty mountain. He was inside the trial as well, so he had clearly felt what Wang Lin had gone through, and he was shocked. However, he wasn't an ordinary person. He quickly suppressed the shock and silently looked into the distance. Before him, the world twisted and Wang Lin walked out. He arrived before the 4th generation vermilion bird, and also silently pondered. The 4th generation vermilion bird looked back at Wang Lin and whispered, "After your 4th awakening, you still need to nourish your ethereal fire for a period of time. Bear that in mind." Wang Lin revealed a complicated expression toward the middle-aged man before him. He clasped his hands and asked, "Is Senior the 4th generation vermilion bird?" "I am." The middle-aged man nodded. Wang Lin stayed quiet. After a long time he whispered, "The 5th generation vermilion bird has done along for Junior." Before he died, he talked about how he accompanied the 4th generation vermilion bird. The middle-aged man's eyes revealed sadness and he nodded. His voice contained melancholy as he whispered, "I know." Wang Lin raised his right hand and waved at the void. A crack to the storage space opened and a stone statue slowly flew out. This stone statue was formed by the old vermilion bird Divine Emperor's body after he died. The old vermilion bird Divine Emperor lived his life for the vermilion bird divine sect. In my opinion, no one is more qualified to be called a vermilion bird. As Wang Lin looked at the remains of the old vermilion bird Divine Emperor, memories of the past flashed in his mind. While the old vermilion bird Divine Emperor was worrying about the vermilion bird divine sect, you weren't there, the 2nd generation vermilion bird wasn't there. In the 4 divine sect, the white tiger Divine Emperor died, the black tortoise Divine Emperor defected, and the azure dragon Divine Emperor was trapped. For tens of thousands of years, only the old vermilion bird Divine Emperor held on. Even at this death, he couldn't forget about the matter of the vermilion bird divine sect. He couldn't forget his teacher. Today, Junior was able to see Senior, so I'll leave his remains here. I believe the old vermilion bird Divine Emperor would choose to stay here as well to accompany the teacher who abandoned him and never went back. Perhaps this is his home. Wang Lin withdrew a few steps, knelt before the old vermilion bird Divine Emperor, and kowtowed 3 times. "Old vermilion bird Divine Emperor, this disciple has brought you here from the vermilion bird divine sect. I have brought you back to the side of the 4th generation vermilion bird. Your home. I can't repay what you've done for me, but my promise will continue." After he got up, Wang Lin looked at the 4th generation vermilion bird with a complicated expression. He clasped his hands and said, "Thank you, Senior, for helping me before. Junior is going to leave." Wang Lin let out a sigh and walked away. He could accept the 2nd generation vermilion bird, but he couldn't accept the 4th generation vermilion bird. If the 4th generation vermilion bird hadn't left, the old Divine Emperor would have already gone through the 4th awakening. If the 4th generation vermilion bird hadn't left, the old Divine Emperor wouldn't have died. The 4th generation vermilion bird looked at the corpse of his disciple and his body trembled. A powerful sense of sadness appeared in his eyes. He slowly stood up and his trembling right hand touched the face of his disciple. "Lu Yun, your teacher has wronged you." Tear flowed down from the eyes of the 4th generation vermilion bird. Teacher knew everything about the 4 divine sect. It's just that I couldn't go back. When I came to the ancient star system, someone placed a mysterious seal in me. The 4th generation vermilion bird murmured. His appearance seemed to age a lot as he looked at the corpse of his disciple and thought of the past. "Over the years I have tried to break the seal on me, but I still haven't succeeded. Even the first-generation ancestor couldn't release the seal. I can only stay in the Earth trial and not take half a step outside. If I were to leave, the seal would erupt, making me lose my sanity and become crazy. Lu Yun, it's not that teacher didn't want to go back, I just couldn't go back. The tears of the fourth-generation vermilion bird fell as he looked at the corpse of his disciple. The tears contained the endless sadness his heart, the painful memories and the endless remorse. Not just me, but the second-generation vermilion bird also has this seal inside him. He can suppress it so he doesn't have to stay inside the Earth trial, but he can't leave the fallen land. Fallen land. Fallen land. This is the fallen land of my vermilion bird clan. Either we fall into madness or fall from grace. The fourth-generation vermilion bird bitterly murmured as if he was explaining it to his disciple. Wang Lin's figure walked toward the sky further and further away until he disappeared without a trace. The moment his figure disappeared, his closed eyes suddenly opened under the human incense stick. The moment Wang Lin opened his eyes, the 9-colored fire in his left eye became ethereal and rotated rapidly. It made him look extremely strange. The moment he opened his eyes, ethereal fire erupted from his body. This ethereal fire was heaven-shaking and spread out in all directions. Wang Lin's hair moved without any wind and began to flutter. He withdrew his hand from the first incense stick and looked at his surroundings. Grandmaster Yun Luo was still staring at Wang Lin, and when Wang Lin opened his eyes, she clearly saw his left eye. Her eyes widened, her pupils shrank, and monstrous fear filled his eyes. Her body trembled and she began to retreat. It was as if millions of bolts of thunder had flashed across her mind. She had lost all power in her body and her face was as pale as a dead person's. This gaze. This. Grandmaster Yun Luo could never forget the image she had just seen. The gaze from the figure that turned around and looked at her at the moment of her death. That blurry figure's left eye had a 9-colored vortex. Master Simo stared at Wang Lin and silently pondered. Dao Master Miao Yin also looked at Wang Lin. There was a strange light in his eyes and he revealed an almost unnoticeable sneer. The old vermilion bird stood up with a laugh, feeling full of relief. However, given everything that had happened, Wang Lin had shocked him once more on top of having 5 essences. The old vermilion bird laughed. You've burned the 9-colored karma fire to ignite the 4th awakening and enter the realm of ethereal fire? Good, good. The old man sitting on the lizard looked at Wang Lin with a different gaze. He had battled the old vermilion bird far too many times and knew how powerful ethereal fire was. Now that Wang Lin had entered the realm of ethereal fire, he couldn't help but pay attention to Wang Lin. The woman behind Dao Master Blue Dream looked silently at Wang Lin. Dao Master Blue Dream saw her expression and let out a sigh in his heart. If only I hadn't erased Yu Er's memory and made Wang Lin stay to help his cultivation, instead of just passing him 3 spells. Dao Master Blue Dream felt remorse for the first time for what he had done back then. Wang Lin's gaze swept by everyone and he let out a deep breath. He saw flowing emotions from all of them. If he wanted to, he could turn those emotions into ethereal fire. When Wang Lin's gaze moved onto Grandmaster Yun Luo, she immediately lowered her head and slowly retreated. However, Wang Lin still saw that her emotions were way more intense than everyone else's. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and clasped his hands at the old vermilion bird. Junior was fortunate and has already awakened. The old vermilion bird smiled even more brightly. Then he waved his hand and threw the dragon in his hand into the distance. You're free, little dragon. He laughed. The dragon was almost dead as it had lost almost all its blood. When it heard this, its eyes lit up and it let out a roar as it struggled to fly far away. It disappeared into the horizon. The trial is not over. There is someone waiting for in the last heaven incense stick. Go. The old vermilion bird looked meaningfully at Wang Lin. The human incense stick was extinguished and the earth incense stick was split, but the heaven incense stick won't extinguish or break. This incense stick is guarded by the first-generation ancestor himself, and what is tested inside it is potential. The longer you can maintain it, the greater the potential. This old man lasted 12 breaths and the 4th generation lasted 14 breaths. I want to know how long you will last. If you can surprise me again, this old man will gift you the restriction in that silly dragon's body. With it, you can easily find where it escaped to. With the dragon as a guard, this old man will be at ease once you leave here. The old vermilion bird's words entered Wang Lin's mind. No one but him could hear Wang Lin. Wang Lin nodded and looked at where the dragon flew off to. The dragon that had just left the great emperor planet was very excited. Free, finally free! Roar! This old dragon is finally free from the claws of the devil. After how many years, how many years? Tears appeared in the eyes of the dragon. It didn't know that it had been cheated by the first-generation vermilion bird, and was just given away as a gift by the second-generation vermilion bird. Wang Lin withdrew his gaze. He didn't look at the crowd again but looked at the heaven incense stick. After pondering for a moment, he took a deep breath and pressed his hand on the heaven incense stick. First-generation vermilion bird ancestor. The ancestor of the vermilion bird clan. One of the 4 great generals under the ancient celestial sovereign. Such a person probably knows many secrets. If the vermilion bird clan is in the ancient star system, why does the fire sparrow clan exist? Since the vermilion bird clan has lasted until today, I presume the azure dragon, black tortoise, and white tiger clans are also alive. Where are they? The ancient celestial sovereign, is it the same person as the ancient celestial emperor, the lord of the sealed realm mentioned? If not, then what is their relationship? While Wang Lin pondered, he closed his eyes. The heaven trial was completely different from the other 2 trials. This was a world filled with white clouds, and there was only one other thing beside clouds. It was a giant statue. It was extremely large and covered a portion of the world. It was an old man that looked like a vermilion bird. His nose was like a beak, and there were even vermilion bird wings on his back. His eyes were closed and there was a 9-colored fire burning between his eyebrows. The right hand of the statue reached out and its palm opened. Wang Lin's figure was shrouded by a flash of light and he appeared inside the palm. In the ancient star system within a calm star domain, ripples echoed. These ripples were like waves, and they slowly spread in all directions. Shortly after, a ray of ghostly light flashed by. Before the ghostly light passed by, there was an abandoned planet here. There were no living beings on this planet, and it had no spiritual energy. It was considered a wasted planet. If any cultivators approached it, they wouldn't even take a look. However, this abandoned planet was in the ray of the ghostly light. When the light passed, the planet disintegrated, leaving only the ripples that slowly spread. However, at this moment, a 100-foot crack appeared in the center of the ripples. Endless death aura came from inside the crack, causing the crack to become bigger and bigger. Through the crack, one could see another world inside, and it was filled with countless floating rocks. On these rocks lay huge heads, some ancient gods, some ancient demons, and some ancient devils. The crack extended to 1,000 feet before it stopped expanding. It was like a large mouth waiting for food to arrive. Its appearance would set off a storm in the ancient star system, shocking countless cultivators. The ancient order tomb opens. Inside the heaven trial, Wang Lin stared at the giant statue and his eyes lit up. This statue was too strange, and no matter how Wang Lin looked at it, it didn't look like a person. Instead, it looked like it was formed from a vermilion bird. After pondering for a bit, Wang Lin clasped his hands at the statue and bowed before it. He said, "Junior 6th generation vermilion bird greets the ancestor." As he spoke, the 9-colored fire between the statue's eyebrows roared violently and shot into the sky. Light emitted from the statue's closed eyes. "To awaken 4 times without a strong bloodline, you're very good." A mighty buzzing voice echoed. "Junior." Wang Lin's expression was calm and he was about to speak. "You can ask your questions in the trial. I'm seriously injured and my divine sense won't be awake for long. For every 5 breaths you last, you can ask 1 question." There was no emotion in that buzzing voice when it interrupted Wang Lin. As his voice echoed, fire began to roar on the hand Wang Lin was standing on. This fire rapidly changed between corporeal fire and ethereal fire. Every 9 transformations, the power of the fire would increase. This fire isn't ethereal fire, but my mind fire. In the past, it was known as the vermilion bird endless flame. When Wang Lin was experiencing the trial, an ancient aura came from the ancient order tomb, extending out of the 1,000-foot spatial crack. This ancient aura merged with the ancient star system and began pulling in tiny, almost invisible dust particles toward it. More and more dust particles gathered until they formed a storm around the spatial crack. From a distance, it looked like a spinning nebula. This storm became larger and larger until it shook the entire star domain. A terrifying force came out of the storm, destroying everything around it. Many abandoned planets nearby were pulled in by the suction force. They were quickly torn apart inside the storm and became part of it. There were 19 cultivation planets lined up in a line in the northern part of the ancient star system. The 10th planet at the center looked like it was all ocean, like a planet of water. There was a cultivator sitting at the bottom of the ocean under the endless water. He looked very old and his hair was white. Every time he breathed, the ocean would roar and waves would be sent out in all directions. The moment the ancient order tomb opened and the storm formed, the old man opened his eyes. His eyes were deep, as if they were the ocean itself. Something's wrong. The old man's eyes lit up. After pondering for a bit, there was a hint of hesitation in them. It is impossible to do anything about the heaven-defying bead on the Great Emperor planet, so I'll deal with it later. Avatar, quickly come back and check out that storm. See what it is. This old man was one of the 5 masters, the original body of Tao Master Miao Yin. The young man on the Great Emperor planet was just one of his 3 main avatars. At the same time, outside the Fallen Land, a giant, oval-shaped beast the size of a cultivation planet was slowly closing in. The old man sitting on its back with the yin and yang face tattoo had his eyes closed, but he suddenly opened them and looked into the distance with a strange light in his eyes. This is... Before he finished muttering to himself, the moon gazer under him suddenly trembled and looked into the distance. There was flashes of fear and excitement in its eyes as it opened its mouth to let out a heaven-shattering roar. The old man with the yin and yang face tattoo hesitated for a bit before changing directions and steering the moon gazer to head toward the location of the ancient order tomb. On the Great Emperor planet, everyone was looking at the heaven incense stick when the young man's expression suddenly changed. Without hesitation, he clasped his hands at the old vermilion bird and smiled. Friends, I have another matter to attend to, so I won't keep watching the ceremony. Goodbye. With that, he turned around and took a step. His body turned into specks of light and he disappeared. This sudden change shocked everyone, and the expressions of all the third step cultivators changed. Tao Master Blue Dream's eyes narrowed and he looked up. After pondering a bit, he clasped his hands at the old vermilion bird and said, "This matter is strange, I need to go check it out." After he finished speaking, he looked at Li Qianmei and let out a sigh. He waved his sleeve and blue light surrounded the two of them before they disappeared. There was also the old man sitting on the lizard. His eyes also revealed a strange light. His mouth, which was sealed by a needle, twitched. Then he clasped his hands at the old vermilion bird but didn't speak. His right hand hit the lizard and it flew off with a hiss. Grandmaster Yun Luo and Master Simo looked at each other. She clasped her hands and was about to speak when smoke suddenly came from the heaven incense stick. The heaven incense stick has ignited. He has ignited the last incense stick so quickly. I wonder how many breaths this third young emperor can last. Can he surpass the second young emperor? The surrounding cultivators' gazes suddenly gathered on the heaven incense stick. Even Grandmaster Yun Luo, who was about to leave, looked at it. The heaven incense stick began burning, and the smoke it started emitting was monstrous. It was like a torch giving off waves of heat, and it rapidly burned down. 1 breath, 2 breaths, 3 breaths. In the heaven trial, Wang Lin was sitting in the palm and 9-colored fire was burning around him. From away it looked like the palm was holding a ball of fire. The moment the fire appeared, it contained a terrifying, destructive force. 3 breaths passed by instantly, but the fire made Wang Lin feel an indescribable sense of heat. He even had the feeling that he was inside a furnace and was being refined by someone. The feeling became even more intense and the fire continued to surge. After almost every breath, the fire would transform 9 times. So every breath would cause the power of the fire to increase greatly. 3 breaths, just 3 breaths had already made Wang Lin feel like he was going to collapse. What kind of trial was this? This fire was trying to refine his soul. Wang Lin could clearly feel that if not for the fact that his vermilion bird had had its 4th awakening and ethereal fire had appeared in his body, his soul would have been burnt to nothing after 3 breaths. On the Great Emperor planet, his body began to tremble and large beads of sweat rolled down his forehead. However, the moment it appeared, the sweat turned into fog. His body was like a piece of hot iron that was going to be destroyed by the heat inside him. Inside the heaven trial, Wang Lin's face was pale. His expression was no longer respectful, it had become ferocious. He let out a roar as his hand formed a seal and 9-colored fire rushed out of his left eye. Then the 9-colored fire surged out from his body. He was using fire to resist the fire. Thunderous rumbles echoed inside the giant palm. 4 breaths, 5 breaths. On the great Emperor planet, the cultivators were staring at Wang Lin's body. At this moment, his body was surrounded by a mist formed from his own sweat. At the 5th breath, the mist collapsed. The burning from the heaven incense stick paused for a moment after having already burned half the incense stick. After Wang Lin lasted for 5 breaths, he immediately roared. The Vermilion Bird clan is in the ancient star system. So why does the Fire Sparrow clan exist? The traitorous 3rd Vermilion Bird was created by the enemy. He stole my treasures and escaped to create the Fire Sparrow clan. I'm sealed here so I couldn't clean house. Also, the existence of the Fire Sparrow clan is good for me. The buzzing voice answered simply and then fell silent once more. The fire around Wang Lin increased. The fire from the ancestor turned into a firestorm. Wang Lin was rushed by the storm, and the 9-colored fire around him collapsed. Intense pain washed over him as he coughed out a mouthful of soul energy. His face immediately became deathly pale. The injury in his soul reached his body. On the great Emperor planet, his body trembled and blood came out of the corner of his mouth. However, before it could drip to the ground, it was burned to ashes and dissipated into black smoke. After witnessing this scene, the old Vermilion Bird's eyes became serious and his expression became extremely gloomy. Could the 1st generation ancestor have lost it, so use the Vermilion Bird Endless Flame for the trial? The purpose of the heaven trial should be to give him a great fortune. What is the meaning of his behavior? Master Simo's eyes lit up and revealed a hint of surprise. He couldn't help but look at Grandmaster Yun Luo. She bit her lower lip and narrowed her eyes. She wanted to divinate, but when she recalled Wang Lin's gaze, her mind trembled and she didn't dare to try. 6th breath. 7th breath. 8th breath. Under the heaven incense stick, blood flowed out from Wang Lin's mouth and his skin wrinkled, becoming dry. Even his blood started boiling. It was as if his blood was going to evaporate from the heat coming from his soul. Wang Lin's souls inside the heaven trial clenched his teeth and his face became twisted. The fire from the 1st generation Vermilion Bird was no longer 9-colored but chaotic. The temperature inside had reached Wang Lin's limit. Under this intense heat, the pain was like the ocean waves. It was several times more intense than the human trial and the earth trial. This is a trial? Wang Lin suddenly looked up and stared viciously at the statue of the 1st generation Vermilion Bird. There was anger in his eyes and the thunder tattoo appeared in his right eye. Thunder suddenly rumbled across the world and endless thunder appeared in the heaven trial. Endless thunder gathered toward his right eye, and the thunder tattoo appeared around his body. The moment the thunder tattoo appeared, and thanks to the thunder around Wang Lin, it allowed him to pass the 9th and 10th breaths. After 10 breaths passed, the thunder tattoo around Wang Lin shined brightly, and it included the fire of his 4th awakening Vermilion Bird. What is the relationship between the ancient celestial sovereign and the ancient celestial emperor? In your world you call him the ancient celestial emperor. In my time he was called the ancient celestial sovereign. The 1st generation Vermilion Bird slowly answered. There was no emotion in his words. However, the moment he finished speaking, the fire from the palm Wang Lin was increased once more. The fire quickly turned into a giant Vermilion Bird. This Vermilion Bird was very old and seemed to have lived for countless years. It let out a grim cry as it charged toward Wang Lin. 11th breath. Wang Lin's eyes revealed madness. The thunder tattoo that contained fire suddenly expanded. As the Vermilion Bird closed in, Wang Lin suddenly stood up and pushed up. In an instant, the ancient Vermilion Bird collided with the thunder tattoo, and a thunderous roar echoed across the world. A powerful shockwave spread in all directions. Wang Lin's body trembled violently and half of his soul exploded and dissipated. His body on the great Emperor planet shook violently. His body coughed out blood and was teetering. His face was ashen and large amounts of blood fog came out of his body. Large amounts of his blood was being evaporated. This scene shocked all the surrounding cultivators. The old vermilion bird's pupils shrank as he let out a roar and arrived next to the heaven incense stick. His divine sense rushed out toward the heaven trial. The moment his divine sense entered, his voice roared inside the heaven trial. Ancestor! What is the meaning of this? Could he not be a member of my vermilion bird clan? Could he have been created by someone else? You leave. The buzzing voice rumbled and formed an invisible force that landed on the old vermilion bird's divine sense, forcing him out of the heaven trial. I have my own plan. 12th breath. The thunder tattoo collapsed and turned into countless fragments that returned to Wang Lin's eye. The fire from the old vermilion bird collapsed and he was knocked back a few hundred feet. Wang Lin waved his right hand and a rift to his storage space appeared. There was a flash of blood light and the blood sword appeared. Wang Lin pointed ferociously at the sky and the blood sword chased after the vermilion bird. At this instant after the blood sword shot out, Wang Lin's hand formed a seal. He pointed at the sky and shouted, "In the name of my heavenly thunder, condense the endless thunder of heaven to open the ancient thunder realm." 13th breath. His voice became louder and louder until it was heaven-shattering. The moment he spoke, Wang Lin waved his hand at the void before him. The world rumbled and began to twist. A giant spatial rift 10,000 feet long opened. Endless roars echoed from the rift and several ancient thunder dragons' giant bodies could be seen moving within. Open the ancient thunder realm. This was the spell of the Scatter Thunder clan's head elder. However, after soul-searching the head elder, and thanks to his thunder essence, Wang Lin could also use this extremely powerful thunder spell. The thunder dragons let out angry roars and were coming out of the spatial rift. However, just at this moment the voice of the first-generation vermilion bird echoed. Vermilion bird seal, seal. As the indifferent voice echoed, the ancient vermilion bird let out a hiss and charged at the 10,000-foot rift. There was a surge of fire and it imprinted on the 10,000-foot rift. The vermilion bird turned into a giant seal and sealed the rift to the ancient thunder realm. The ancient thunder dragons struggled inside to break out, but no matter how much they tried, they couldn't break the vermilion bird seal. 14th breath. Wang Lin's body trembled and he waved his hand without hesitation. The blood sword in the sky changed directions and charged at the huge statue. At this instant, the huge statue's closed eyes suddenly opened. The pair of eyes was devoid of any emotion. The moment the eyes opened, the blood sword was surrounded by an invisible force. It was frozen just outside the eyebrows of the statue and couldn't move forward. This sword is in your hands. For the first time, shock appeared in the voice of the first-generation vermilion bird. On the great emperor planet, the old vermilion bird's expression was gloomy, and his right hand bounced off the incense stick. He took few steps back and looked at Wang Lin with a complicated expression. He had no idea why the ancestor was doing this. 14 breaths. The third young emperor also reached 14 breaths. 14 breaths is his limit. You can see that his flesh is almost destroyed and almost all of his blood is about to evaporate. Master Simo narrowed his eyes. With his cultivation level, he naturally saw the old vermilion bird's gloomy expression. He sneered in his heart. It looks like another accident has happened. This little bastard has gone through a lot of ups and downs in this trial. It is best he dies in this trial and save me some trouble. The heaven incense stick violently and quickly burned down. There was only a few dozen feet left. In the heaven trial, after the 15th breath passed, the palm under Wang Lin trembled and began to move. The palm formed a fist as the fire roared. Wang Lin didn't even have a chance to ask the third question before the pressure from the 5 fingers descended. A mysterious force descended, making it so Wang Lin couldn't escape. Seeing the 5 fingers descend, Wang Lin let out a roar and popping sounds came from his body. The 5 fingers pressed down on his arms. He felt as if his entire body was going to disintegrate. Wang Lin had a ferocious expression and let out a roar. The lower half of his body collapsed under this powerful force. 16th breath. 17th breath. 18th breath. Wang Lin's body continued to collapse. He could not see the sky anymore as the 5 fingers covered the sky. When Wang Lin reached 19 breaths, the hand clenched. However, just as the hand clenched, a vermilion bird cry came from the fist along with ethereal fire. Wang Lin's soul turned into a vermilion bird. The eyes of the first-generation vermilion bird revealed a strange light. He looked at his own fist, and his gaze seemed to penetrate it as he watched Wang Lin's struggling vermilion bird soul. The 9-colored fire between his eyebrows flashed and ethereal fire shot out toward his fist. This ethereal fire was invisible, but when it entered his fist, his entire palm was shrouded in fire. I can decide whether you live or die with just a thought, but you still won't tell me the truth even now. I saw through your secret when you were at the Armored Dragon clan. I only let you live because I want to know your true identity. I arranged for you to become the young emperor to draw you here. I arranged for the second generation to appear to lead you to this trial. Now that you are finally here, tell me, who are you? Why are you impersonating a member of my Vermilion Bird clan? The juniors might not see through your secret, but you can't hide anything from me. Right after he spoke, a monstrous fire appeared in the eyes of the first-generation Vermilion Bird, as he stared at the struggling Wang Lin and carefully observed Wang Lin's expression. After hearing this, Wang Lin was startled for a moment while struggling and let out an angry laugh. Since you won't tell me the truth, then this Vermilion Bird will grant you death. The first-generation Vermilion Bird's eyes revealed a strange light as he stared at Wang Lin inside his fist. After he spoke, his ethereal fire rushed toward the center of his fist and entered Wang Lin's Vermilion Bird. The moment the ethereal fire entered Wang Lin's Vermilion Bird, he clearly saw images flash by. These images included the 5th-generation Vermilion Bird, leaving the Vermilion Bird mark on Wang Lin. He saw Wang Lin's first awakening, second awakening, third awakening. The first-generation Vermilion Bird didn't just look through the memories once, but over and over again, carefully examining them thousands of times. Finally, he let out a deep breath and the mysterious light in his eyes disappeared, revealing a rarely seen trace of kindness. This fist also slowly loosened. Can you still hold on? His voice was no longer cold. It now contained a hint of admiration. Wang Lin's Vermilion Bird silently stared at the first-generation ancestor. Before, it was because I was wrong about one person and thought of him as one of my own that I ended up like this. I can't even take half a step out of the heaven trial. You suddenly appeared, and although all your characteristics line up with my clan, this old man must be cautious. I hope you understand. Wang Lin silently pondered as the Vermilion Bird he had formed slowly dissipated. He returned to his human form and slowly said, "The 3rd-generation Vermilion Bird? That's right. I couldn't find a single flaw after searching his soul. No matter how much I observed, I couldn't find a single clue. It wasn't until the end that I found out that he was created by someone else." There was hatred in the words of the 1st-generation Vermilion Bird. In the absence of incense stick, you already have 5 essences. Although these 5 essences have just formed, this phenomenon is rare. However, your path is wrong. The 1st-generation Vermilion Bird slowly said, "Your thunder essence formed the void gate, but you couldn't open it. You think you're not strong enough, that's right and wrong. You think you should wait for your fire essence to be completed before trying to open the void gate again. In your heart, you don't even value the 5 heavens blights. You don't want to go through the 5 heavens blights. You want to directly break the void gate at the peak of the Nirvana Shatterer stage. If you think you can do it, you're wrong." Wang Lin was startled but remained silent. The 1st-generation Vermilion Bird let out a sigh and slowly closed his eyes. His voice echoed in the world. "Do you know why humans have 5 fingers in each hand? In my time, there was also the 5 heavens blights, only it was called the 5 void-shattering fingers. Cultivation. In truth, you and I are only cultivating a hand. The first step is the palm and the second step is the palm print. The palm print is law, and everyone's palm prints are different, so their laws are also different. The 5 void-shattering fingers or the 5 heavens blights are the finger on your palm. If you want to cover the sky with your hand, you must have all 5 fingers. If you understand it, you understand it. If not, there will be no chance for you to break the void." Wang Lin frowned. The words of the 1st-generation Vermilion Bird echoed in his mind, causing him to become silent. The 5 void-shattering fingers is a process to gather the power to break the void. Only by cultivating to the limit of the second step can you borrow the power of your essence to break the void gate in one fell swoop. Your cultivation is too chaotic. First of all, your ancient god body. Ancient god. I didn't expect a member of my Vermilion Bird clan to become an ancient god. There was a strange light in the first-generation vermilion bird's eyes as he looked at the blood sword before him. This old man doesn't know much about ancient god cultivation, but during my time the ancient god's power was heaven-shaking. Back then, although the ancient order's EMO wasn't as strong as the ancient celestial sovereign, the ancient celestial sovereign still dreaded him. Ancient order? Wang Lin was startled as he looked at the first-generation vermilion bird. Due to my promise from back then, I can't tell you anymore, so don't ask me again. If you have the opportunity, you will find the answer that is lost in time. The expression of the first-generation vermilion bird seemed crestfallen. If you were to only cultivate the ancient god body and use your power as Tao, it would be easier to open the void gate. However, essences have appeared inside your body, and it is a shocking 5 essences. Therefore, if you want to enter the third step, it will be even more difficult. The more essences you have, the more difficult it becomes, unless you give up your essences and enter the third step as an ancient god. Or you can give up your ancient god body and 4 essences to enter the third step with 1 complete essence. Wang Lin silently pondered. The third step requires the completion of an essence. Then, with the help of Joss flames and devouring a Tao spirit, there is a chance to enter the third step. However, I can't find any Joss flame aura from you. You walk a very difficult path, one completely different from that of the second and fourth generation, so I can't help you. However, right now you have a choice, and I want you to think about it carefully. Wang Lin looked at the first-generation vermilion bird and calmly said, "What choice? Give up your ancient god body, abandon your seemingly complete but still flawed thunder essence, and also give up all your essences except for your fire essence. Stay in the heaven trial and this old man will help you reach the third step within 100 years. From then on, you will only have 1 essence, the fire of the vermilion bird. Once you have reached the third step, this old man will teach you the vermilion bird endless flame. You will cultivate in peace here with the second and fourth generation vermilion birds and wait until this old man breaks the seal. Then this old man will take the 3 of you and leave this place." The first generation vermilion bird said slowly, "Leave this place." Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He felt like there was some hidden meaning behind these words. "Leave this place." The first-generation vermilion bird's eyes revealed reminiscence as he softly said, "To go back to the world I came from." Wang Lin's mint trembled and he was about to speak. "Don't ask, I can't say. If I speak, I'll die. They want to fight, they want to steal, but this old man is tired. I'm unwilling to participate, I just want to go home." The first-generation vermilion bird sounded tired. "I'll give you time to think, I hope you consider it carefully." The first-generation vermilion bird let out a sigh. Wang Lin's breath became a bit rough and he struggled. The words of the first-generation vermilion bird was very tempting. Even more tempting than Tao Master Blue Dream's offer. Tao Master Blue Dream was not of the vermilion bird clan. In his heart, Wang Lin was leaning more toward the first-generation vermilion bird. Wang Lin hesitated and asked, "If I give up my ancient god body and my other essences, once I reach third step, can I recultivate my essences?" "Of course you can. Third step cultivators also cultivate essences, and the more essences, the deeper their comprehension. Their cultivation level also increases this way. However, the new essence will never reach true completion and will stop at the third step. This path poses no danger to you. It is a peaceful path that will allow you to keep your obsession. This old man has also faced the flame of obsession and knows how important it is to people like us." The first-generation vermilion bird looked at Wang Lin as if he was looking at himself and let out a sigh. Wang Lin's mind trembled and his breathing became even more rough. Before him, the choice began to tilt. There was a voice filled with 2,000 years of exhaustion in his heart. With the possibility of a quiet life, there was a hint of excitement in the voice that continued to whisper to him, "Stay here. Stay here. You don't have to experience the bloodbath, you don't have to worry about life and death. Stay here. Reach the third step in 100 years. Even if it means giving up the other essences and the ancient god body. After reaching the third step, they can be recultivated. Even if they can't become complete, reaching the third step is worth it, even if it means not being able to move forward anymore. Stay here. Are you not tired of 2,000 years of cultivation? Walking the line of life and death over and over again, are you still not afraid? Stay here, stay here." Wang Lin's struggle became even stronger, and his breathing became anxious. This short period of time was like thousands of years for him. After a long time, Wang Lin suddenly looked up at the first-generation vermilion bird. His voice was slightly hoarse as he said, "Can the ancestor only take the three of us? Can I bring a few more people? Junior has some friends I can't leave behind." The first-generation vermilion bird pondered, and a moment later, his voice echoed in the world. "Taking the three of you is my limit. Forget it, when the day to leave comes, this old man can give you one more spot. If any more people come, I fear I won't be able to make it back." One spot. Li Muan appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. Then Situ Nan Qingshui and Zhou Ru appeared. Li Qianmei appeared. The figures that he had encountered over his 2,000 years of cultivation that caused him to struggle with this decision appeared. "Now tell me, what is your choice?" The first-generation vermilion bird's words entered Wang Lin's mind. A monstrous wave was set off in Wang Lin's heart. This choice made him struggle and hesitate. A moment later, Wang Lin's right hand reached at the void and a rift to his storage space appeared. A coffin slowly floated out, and Li Muan was calmly sleeping inside the coffin. Can Senior resurrect her? Wang Lin looked up with bloodshot eyes. The struggle of making this choice was like a vicious battle for him. A long sigh echoed across the world and the first-generation vermilion bird's words echoed. "This old man saw the coffin when you opened your storage space earlier. This woman must be your obsession. This coffin was refined by a junior, because I have never seen it before, but I can feel the effect of this coffin. This woman's lifespan ended and her nascent soul was then injured. She died. Then you put the nascent soul inside the coffin to reform her flesh, but her soul had already collapsed." Wang Lin's body trembled as he stared at Li Muan inside the coffin. "This coffin is very strange. It allows a collapsed soul to not dissipate for a while. If you can find the correct method of control, you can find the shattered pieces of her soul one by one, but even if you can find all of her soul, this old man can't resurrect her." Wang Lin's heart was filled with despair and his gaze became dim. He stared at the coffin as if his heart had been torn apart, and pain filled his body. The first-generation vermilion bird pondered a bit and slowly said, "However, if this old man can't do it, that doesn't mean others can't. In my hometown, there are 3 people that can mend her soul and resurrect her. It's just, all 3 of them have extremely high statuses, and this old man can't get them to help. However, you can rest assured I'll do my best." Wang Lin didn't look up, and he slowly withdrew his gaze from the coffin. His right hand touched the coffin and he put it back inside his storage space. The 3 people ancestor talked about are too far away from Junior. The 3 are able to do it presumably due to their unfathomable cultivation. Wang Lin raised his hand and looked at the first-generation vermilion bird statue. Although his eyes were still bloodshot, they no longer contained any struggle. Instead, they were filled with clarity and determination. Junior also wants to live peacefully. I'm tired of the constant life and death situations and the schemes of the cultivation world. I would very much like to stay here until I'm old. Even if it means my cultivation would stop at the 3rd step, so what? Wang Lin's eyes became bright and he continued. It's just that Junior can't do it. Asking others for help is too unreliable. And I don't like having someone else controlling my fate. I might as well not ask for their help. Since they can cultivate to that degree, I, Wang Lin, can do it as well. Can do it as well. Although these words were not loud, but after he spoke them, it was as if an indescribable force had surged into his body, giving him a shocking presence. Their words seemed to echo inside this world. Even the first-generation vermilion bird's eyes narrowed. I can't give up my ancient god body. I can't give up my other 4 essences. Even if this path is difficult, I have to continue down it. I can't allow my cultivation to stop. Wang Lin bowed at the first-generation vermilion bird before stepping into the air. Junior appreciates the old ancestors' goodwill. Whether it is the 5 heavens blights or the 5 void-shattering fingers, they are all things comprehended by cultivators as required steps to break the void gate. Then why can't Junior find my own way? A method unique to me. Ancestor said that I need 5 fingers to cover the sky, but Junior doesn't want to go through the 5 heavens blights. My ancient god body is Junior's palm and my 5 essences are my fingers. 5 heavens blights, 5 void-shattering fingers, 5 essences, they have different names, but their meanings are the same. I've completed one essence, which is the same as the first heaven's blight. Once my 5 essences are complete, I'll be the same as a peak 5th heaven's blight cultivator. I'll break open the void gate and form my own path. Note 1. End quote. We Don and Appos. T understand exactly what the author is saying in this chapter regarding the essences and staying at the 3rd step. We Don and Appos. T know if he would be stuck at the 3rd step with his fire essence, or if he could continue cultivating the fire essence but the other essences and the ancient god body would be stuck at the 3rd step. End quote. Wang Lin floated in the air and clasped his hands at the statue of the 1st generation vermilion bird. He then waved his right hand and the blood sword let out a sword him before flying back to Wang Lin. His words revealed his determination. When the 1st generation vermilion bird heard this, he silently pondered. Wang Lin looked at the sky. Fire burned in his left eye and thunder flashed in his right eye. They seemed to support the entire world as he stood there as his voice echoed. Since I can't rely on others to resurrect one heir, then I can only rely on my own strength. Since the old ancestor can't take my friends away, then I'll stay here and break through heaven on my own. I'll take my friends and ascend with them. His mighty words echoed across the world like rolling thunder. If leaving this world was like becoming a celestial, then Wang Lin's words meant not only that was he going to become a celestial, but he was going to make all his friends celestials too. After pondering for a bit, the 1st generation vermilion bird let out a sigh. Perhaps you're right. Forget it, you passed the heaven trial. I know you left a drop of vermilion bird blood on an abandoned planet and lured the Fire Sparrow clan to take it. Your purpose should be the fire essence in the Fire Sparrow clan. Your vermilion bird has awakened 4 times, and you've given birth to ethereal fire. If you can devour the fire essence left by the traitorous 3rd vermilion bird, your fire essence will increase greatly. Although the traitorous 3rd vermilion bird was a fake, he was the most talented person I've seen. Although he was seriously injured by me, his cultivation was powerful and his mind cunning. He must have left himself a few safety measures to protect himself. This old man also suspects that he has another identity in the ancient star system. However, I'm unable to leave this place, so I can't investigate this matter. If you have plans for the Fire Sparrow clan, you need to be careful of the traitorous 3rd vermilion bird. He might be in closed-door cultivation in the Holy Land of the Fire Sparrow clan. If he is really there, then I'll give you this item condensed from my vermilion bird Endless Fire. With it, even if you meet the traitorous 3rd vermilion bird, you can keep your life. If I'm wrong, then take this as a weapon to protect yourself. As the 1st generation vermilion bird spoke, the 9-colored fire between his eyebrows flashed. It condensed into a 9-colored feather that slowly flew at Wang Lin. The traitorous 3rd vermilion bird has a treasure of my vermilion bird clan, but he doesn't know the method to control it. I'll teach it to you, and if you have the power to take it back, I'll gift that treasure to you. The moment Wang Lin caught the 9-colored feather, a complex chant was engraved into his soul. Try to keep the members of the Fire Sparrow clan alive, as they have great use to me. I'll help you make that vermilion bird blood you left on the abandoned planet more real. No one but the 3rd generation vermilion bird would see through it. You can leave. The 1st generation vermilion bird's voice gradually became more faint until eventually it disappeared. The statue lost its vitality and seemed to turn into a dead object. Wang Lin looked at the statue of the 1st generation vermilion bird, and after a moment he bowed deeply. Then he turned around and disappeared. On the Great Emperor planet, the heaven incense stick seemed like it would burn forever without end. Time slowly passed, one breath. It had been a total of 23 breaths now. Although Wang Lin's conversion with the 1st generation vermilion bird was long, thanks to the interference of the 1st generation vermilion bird, it was merely a few breaths of time outside. 24th breath. 25th breath. The surrounding cultivators were all filled with shock. Master Simo frowned, and there was a flash of hostility on his face. Grandmaster Yun Luo's right hand formed seals so fast that her hand formed afterimages as she calmly stared at Wang Lin. Only the old vermilion bird had a gloomy expression. He vaguely guessed the purpose of the ancestor, that this trial was a test of identity. 26th breath. 27th breath. 27 breaths. This 3rd young emperor was able to make the heaven incense stick last this long. Look at his body. It just looked like he was facing a life and death crisis, but now he has calmed down. The surrounding cultivators began to debate. Every breath that passed caused their minds to be shaken even more. Just at this moment, the fire from the heaven incense stick became monstrous and covered almost half the sky. The monstrous fire charged at the small remaining part of the heaven incense stick. In just an instant, the remaining heaven incense stick had been burned clean. This sudden change attracted the attention of all the surrounding cultivators. Even the old vermilion bird's eyes lit up, and he looked closely. Although it sounds slow, it happened in an instant. The heaven incense stick was rapidly shrinking, and the fire was about to reach Wang Lin's body. At this moment, Wang Lin's soul still hadn't returned. If he didn't return before the incense stick was burned clean, then even if he passed the trial, he would have failed in the eyes of the surrounding cultivators. All of this happened in a flash. The sudden increase in the burning rate of the heaven incense stick was like an invisible force that attracted everyone's attention. Under their gazes, the fire from the heaven incense stick quickly descended and devoured Wang Lin. The heaven incense stick had completely burned out. He didn't come out. The third young emperor's soul didn't come out. Did he fail? Humph, I told you this trial was extremely difficult and he wouldn't succeed. So what if his cultivation is monstrous? He still failed in this trial. I want to see how the first young emperor will save him. The surrounding cultivators went into an uproar. Master Simo took a deep breath and joy appeared in his eyes. However, the moment the joy appeared, it drained away and was replaced with endless gloom. Grandmaster Yun Luo's right hand was a bloody mess once more as she was interrupted once more. This time she wasn't interrupted by a strange force, but by an indifferent gaze coming from the burning incense stick. The gaze was like fire and thunder, and the moment it appeared, it caused the world to rumble. A black shadow gradually walked out of the burning stick and appeared before all the cultivators present. Wang Lin walked out with a gloomy expression. The moment the heaven incense stick burned out, his soul returned to his body. Once he was back in his body, this fire was nothing to him. Under the shocked gazes of all the surrounding cultivators, Wang Lin waved his right hand and the fire behind him moved with him. It turned into a river of fire that wrapped around his right hand. Wang Lin clenched his fist and the river of fire collapsed, sending fire scattering in all directions. The scattering bits of fire were like fireflies with Wang Lin at the center. The 9-colored fire rotated rapidly in Wang Lin's left eye and turned into ethereal fire. In his right eye, the thunder tattoo had 9 accompanying thunders rotating around it. His clothes fluttered and his hair moved without wind. His gaze swept past all the surrounding cultivators. At this moment, Wang Lin was like a celestial and a demon fused into one. An indescribable aura surged out from him, and all the injuries on his body healed. At the same time, an endless fire burned in his soul as endless power condensed his body. All the cultivators that met his gaze felt their minds tremble, and huge waves were set off in their minds. They felt as if a fire was burning inside them, and the stronger their emotions became, the more powerful the fire became. In an instant, the fire was strong enough to burn them to ashes. What was even more shocking was that once you were swept by Wang Lin's gaze, your mind and soul seemed to no longer belong to you. At this moment, you would feel as if the world was occupied by a giant thunder tattoo with 9 different thunders around it, trying to destroy your soul. This feeling only lasted for an instant for most cultivators when Wang Lin's gaze swept by them. However, it was unforgettable, and that feeling of terror was something they could never forget. Wang Lin was about to display his might. Just one sweep of his gaze had caused the hearts of the surrounding 10,000 cultivators to tremble. Panic appeared in their eyes and they all lowered their heads. They actually didn't dare to look at Wang Lin. In particular, those who were disrespectful to Wang Lin and had talked behind his back turned deathly pale. They clearly felt that as soon as Wang Lin willed it, their bodies would be burned to nothing and their origin souls would turn to ashes. Wang Lin's gaze swept past these cultivators one by one. No matter what cultivation level they were at, Wang Lin could see the ethereal fire coming from them. The more their emotions fluctuated, the more intense the fire became. A powerful feeling appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. A hint of killing intent appeared in his eyes as he waved his hand and the world rumbled. Ethereal fire appeared in the bodies of all the surrounding cultivators. This fire gave off intense heat. and fear appeared in their eyes. In an instant, the ethereal fire that had ignited within the 10,000 cultivators rushed out of their bodies and gathered toward Wang Lin, who was still on the back of the giant tortoise. This scene was extremely shocking. The monstrous ethereal fire was like smoke, and it turned into a huge vortex and was absorbed by Wang Lin. The fire surrounded him and formed a monstrous firestorm. This storm rotated rapidly and formed violent gusts of wind. The surrounding